The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization or sponsor. This content is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice.
Because politicians died and now people are noticing that, oh, actually we shouldn't be having trucks, then they called whoever it is at the red tape office at Operation Vulindlela to say, no, Vulindlela, please, let's expedite whatever we're doing in KZN. You know, we need to send a lot more coal to Israel right now. I feel like Cyril needs to experience some of these things because the nonsense that they prepare for him to say in his Sonia addresses shows that they're completely disconnected. Our sisters have complete disregard for that. So what have they lost? They've lost their innocence. They've lost the reason why we respect them, why we praise them.
Back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Hey, I know you like that.
I know you like that.
Yeah.
The authorities there.
Yeah. The game ain't the same since you left the house. Welcome back. Tasmuda, you're back.
I miss you, man. I miss you.
I miss you too. Yo, I'm back. You're back. We're back. Yo, we're back like what? Like umkokot. How do they say it?
Last year, the last half of the year, we disappointed them. We slacked. This year, there's no slacking. This year, there was no slacking.
Yeah, there's no excuses.
There's no excuses this year.
So, yo, we gotta go in. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Welcome back, yeah.
Yo, I almost didn't make it back. Yo, I didn't tell you the story. Yo. Yeah. Anyway, I was driving on the N1, so I drove back to Jozi from Cape Town. Most beautiful drive. I love driving from Cape Town. I've said that many times before. I think this is my sixth Cape Town to Joburg drive. And ninth trip either way. I've taken 3 drives down to Cape Town myself. So I love that road. I love the challenge of, you know, being focused, being behind the wheel for, I don't know how many hours, 16, 15 hours or so, or 17 hours behind the wheel. And I looked up to the challenge. I mean, I didn't drive the whole entire way myself. From Beaufort West until Colesberg, I was sleeping or resting for the second part of the trip, but I drove most of it. And then from Colesberg, there was a part where there was some road works going on. And, you know, it's no longer the double carriageway, so there's 2 lanes on either side. And then there was a truck that I saw coming towards me in my lane, in my direction, oncoming traffic. And it was overtaking 3 other trucks. You know, I didn't think like when it was happening or whatever. I just instinctively, like, you know, calmly moved into the shoulder lane, drove past it, you know, allowed it to pass me. And then I just thought to myself, no ways, guys. There's no ways we can be on the road with so many trucks. Pella, a truck is a killer. Like when I saw the truck, I knew that, okay, that means I need to move out of the way. There was no like thinking, oh no, the truck must do the right thing or I must force him to follow the rules of the road. You know what I mean? I need to yield to the truck. A truck hits you, you're dead. So
you must assume he's an idiot.
You must assume that he's a killer. He's willing to do something stupid enough, knowing that it could lead to death and not fearing the consequences enough to, you know, reconsider. So, you know, being an idiot is being too kind. You are a potential killer. You understand what I'm saying? So, it is what it was. So it was what it is. You know, being upset about it is not going to change it or change that particular driver's behavior. That's just the behavior of the drivers that get used to taking that trip every day. You know, they start to get reckless. And that trip itself needs concentration. It needs focus. You know what I mean? It's one of those trips. It's like a long drive that you don't want to share with anyone else. Because once you're in the zone, you're in the zone. You know what I mean? And now if you want to change drivers, now this guy needs to get into the zone. And it's like, no, that's too risky. And also it's another drive that you don't just go on that drive because you know that it could take your life. It's like a risky drive. You know, it's the N1 all the way up to Joburg. You know, there's no point at which you can calm down or relax. I remember when I crossed the Grasmere toll plaza, I said to myself, you're not home. You're not home. Finish the job. That's what I was saying to myself. You're not home. Finish the job. Because that's the part of the road where you now get tired, you know, and you're coming down.
That slope, yeah. That's why bakumele lapha garage leyana because bayazi ukuthi abantu baspita unwillingly.
I-Kronval.
Kuloya miehlelo leyana wase-Kronval.
Yeah, before the curve, N12.
Yeah.
Suke Protea. And that's where the accidents happen.
Yayehlela lapha show.
Before the Golden Highway.
Oh, ngiyakubona ukuthi usho kuphi show.
Yeah, just before the Golden Highway. That's where
from
the
landle ePhumaleki lamasasolite ephume Protea.
And then when you're coming from Cape Town, layout le ibuye Protea. He's going to his girlfriend Naturena. You understand? Instead of going double up in a dale, highway, you understand? He's taking that curve when you're not seeing him or whatever, and that's where you have that accident. Because that's when I think 3 lanes on this side merge into 4 lanes on the highway. You know what I mean? So that's a 7-lane merger. And then it splits up into 3 different exits as well. The people that are going onto the Golden Highway, the people that are taking the N12 or the N17 onto the M1 by Southgate, and then the people that are going to Joburg CBD, and then the people that are going straight, continuing on the N1. Towards Pretoria. So a lot is happening in that commotion, and that's where accidents and sloppiness can happen. So already after the Fasmere Toll Plaza, I was reminding myself, hey, you're not home. Until you actually get to your address, your trip is not done. You know, I wasn't trying to be sloppy. So all of these things, the preparation for this trip, you know what I mean? Just getting my mind in the game, you know, for the drive, preparing myself, all of that, you know, I had to consider that in my frustration about why do we have so many trucks on that road? You know what I mean? Why do we have so many trucks on that road? Why is it that we don't have our trains working on that road, which is taking up so much? I mean, if you look at the Western Cape in general, you see those hills there, the valleys, that's where the nation is fed. You know what I mean? Like a lot of our produce comes from there. Same thing goes for Limpopo. You know, I have the same feeling. It's a shorter stretch of road, right? But it's the same thing that I feel each and every single time I'm driving to Polokwane. I'm like, why are the cars outnumbered by trucks?
It's because the railway system in South Africa has collapsed.
Yes.
That's why there's more trucks, and more trucks move a lot of goods and minerals.
Yes.
So there's a lots of trucks that are moving minerals up and down.
Okay.
And there's also lots of trucks that are going all the way down to the port to Richards Bay for exporting.
That's the N3.
Yeah, for exporting minerals. So all over the country, even there's other trucks that are going towards Mozambique because there's another port that's at another border that side. The minerals also get transported that way. Mozambique, they also buy a lot of coal that side. And Asians and Chinese, they use a lot of, there's a type of coal, they call it DAF. So there's all these trucks that are moving minerals up and down because most mining companies no longer use the railway system. It has collapsed the whole country. That's why there's many trucks on the road.
Well, I hear that, but I don't buy it. I believe that these trucking companies are in business with whoever's sabotaging our railway companies, our state-owned railway companies. I think that the public to private revolving door means that there's too much of an incentive for people who've got knowledge of Transnet and its systems. I mean, not just from a passenger rail, but like Transnet proper, you know, for them to know where the opportunities lie in the trucking industry should Transnet not be able to deliver, or should it not be able to take on the quantities that it should be taking on. In Richards Bay, they're doing better. There's more quantities that are traveling on rail there. And that's because there was an ANC rally where people died on the way to the rally in KZN. You understand what I'm saying? In Vryheid. Because they shouldn't have been using that, trucks shouldn't be using that road, but they're using that road. And because politicians died and now people are noticing that, oh, actually we shouldn't be having trucks, then they called whoever it is at the red tape office at Operation Vulindlela to say, no, Vulindlela, please, let's expedite whatever we're doing in KZN. You know, we need to send a lot more coal to Israel right now, you know. Yeah.
And there's also that conspiracy theory. The rail system has been sabotaged.
It's not a conspiracy theory. We're seeing the evidence of how Eskom was sabotaged. We're seeing the evidence in the amount of electricity we have today. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I've even gotten used to not switching off the lights anymore. You know, like, now I just don't switch off the lights anymore. Like, you know, why switch off the lights?
But there's also a trucking mafia in the country.
There's a mafia for each and every single thing in this country. There's a mafia for each and every single thing in this country. And you know that and you see that when you go to Cape Town, because that is the beginning of this country as a colony. And then you can see how this colony was organized and structured from the very beginning. And from the outset, South Africa was run by cartels, different cartels of whichever immigrants were coming in here to, occupy, to take over our land. And they ran this cartel to be able to extract. And once they lost control of the extraction, they then tried to stifle us. We're still the number one minerals exporter on the African continent. As much as they say that DRC is richer than us and everything else, they can be rich, but you can't be rich when that mineral is just still dirt in the ground. When you can't process it, when you can't bring it out of the ground, you know what I mean? So we're rich, we're resourced, we've got infrastructure, and we're primed for extraction, and that extraction is happening. And it's not for the benefit of our people. The longest train track in the world is, I think, in a country called Mauritania, or in Mali. It's in Mauritania. It's the longest. It goes through the Sahara Desert. And people actually climb on that train. But that train is for minerals. Abantu bayayigova i-train yakhona. No passenger train has been built. Imagine that. And all it takes is a couple locomotives, a couple coaches, and all of a sudden, now it's a passenger train. You can use the same railway line. You can move the minerals, move passengers in proper coaches, give them some dignity, but that's not the purpose of the train. The train is to extract and is to show the people that there should never be any possibility that they could imagine that their country should be developed from the extraction of the minerals that they're seeing every day, And South Africa is no different. We are primed for extraction, So, yeah, the driving on the N1 shouldn't be risky, man. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I mean, as soon as, when you're approaching the Huguenot Tunnel, number one, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm saying goodbye to Cape Town. You've just driven past Paarl. You're now in the Boerland. You're looking up at the mountains and you're like, and then you get out onto the other end of the Huguenot Tunnel and it's, wow, it's an even more beautiful mountain. It's like the beauty here doesn't even need an ocean. You don't even need an ocean to appreciate that beauty. And as you go through it, you see the moon rising, you see the stars in the sky over the dark night. The road is lit up by the moon. There's no other lights everywhere. There's no city. There's no development, And you get to see another side of the Western Cape that, people forget about, the real Western Cape. The Western Cape that handles everything before it gets exported. The laborers in the Western Cape, the farm laborers, the farming towns, and you see the type of life they're living. And it's over there that you realize that, damn, there are places that are relics of apartheid. It's like apartheid is being captured in a little museum between the upper Western Cape and the southern Northern Cape. And within that little museum, you can experience real apartheid. You can actually go back to apartheid and experience it and see how life is lived in an apartheid society, where the hierarchy is understood, it's respected, and people don't have any ambitions of actually actualizing themselves as individuals. So that's an important drive for us to still have, And I know a lot of people say, yeah, why would you risk that drive and just fly? The amount that you see, when you have to stop at the garage or stop wherever, or let's say you've got a breakdown, your tire breaks down and now you need a local mechanic to help you. That human touch is what we travel for. You know what I mean? To experience people. We don't experience things. We can take pictures of things, put them in our house. They gather dust. Those are things. People, are what we want to experience, That's why we don't go to funerals for things. We go to funerals for people, to honor them and to honor the experience that we've shared in life together. So seeing those people is something that I feel our politicians have never done and don't do. The DA runs the Western Cape. They control it. But you never really see them in the real Western Cape. You see them in the tourist areas, Cape
Atlantic
Town,
seaboard, right?
That whole entire area. But I mean, the Atlantic seaboard, it gets too much buzz. Let me say something that I don't want us to share too far and widely. nah, the Atlantic seaboard is not all of Cape Town. I understand the prices in Atlantic seaboard are, ridiculous or whatever. People can't afford their rent. Dude, move to Milnerton. Move to Bloberg Strand.
Bloberg Strand,
You
yeah.
understand what I'm saying? And Bloberg Strand has got the most beautiful sunsets. I was taken to a place. Well, I wasn't taken there, but I was recommended a place to go to, Eden on the Bay. It's in Bloberg Strand, by Avi. I had lunch with Avi at the Village
Avi?
Bicycle. Avi Eldman.
Oh, Avi, yeah.
Yes.
UPZ.
Yes, yeah, pure surprise.
That's my guy, sure.
Yeah, UPZ, United People of Zion. So, when...
Oh, that's what it means.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. Nota, boy.
I gotta put you on, game. Those are house cats.
That's
you
my
know what
guy,
I mean?
sure.
Those are your guys.
I did something with him in Tina Rodor.
Yeah, I know. He was telling me about
that
it.
That I'm Love song.
Yeah.
Dope dude,
Yeah.
incredible producer.
Yeah.
Lovely guy, eh?
Yeah, so we had burgers, at the Village Bicycle there. Amazing. Village Bicycle in Bloberg Strand. Amazing. It's right on top of where the News Cafe is, there by the beachfront. So there's nice sunsets to view there as well. I had a dinner meeting with Doromongi as well. She's now moved to Cape Town. She's doing some stuff with some people in music as well. And we're going to be shooting a music video soon. So that was nice. But Cape Town as a whole has got a lot to offer. You know what I mean? And still has a lot to offer. But it's underutilized. It's turning into a ghost town. And, I was speaking about this many years ago, saying it, because I travel to Cape Town a lot and I would tweet about it. If you look at my old tweets, anytime I'm in Cape Town, I'm always complaining that I'm the only black person where I am, or the only black South African where I am. And I hate that, you know what I mean? I don't know why so many black people love it when there's so few of us in a space, you know what I mean? And when it's supposed to be home. It feels like it's no longer our home at all now. Now, first it felt like it was home for white South Africans. They could make it like home, you know what I mean? Now it feels like it's no longer like home. Like it's a real thing. I don't know, maybe you've had this experience. Like we used to go to Cape Town, wherever in Cape Town, and we'd go link up with our white friends from school when we're in Cape Town as the black kids. And we'd be at a holiday, whatever, at a chalet, and we're staying there. They're staying at their holiday home in Clifton or in Bantry Bay. You understand what I'm saying? So, that was our experience of Cape Town. Or we had friends who stayed in Table View, so we'd go stay at their houses and we'd be able to stay in Cape Town for a long, long time. So I've been going to Cape Town. I lived in Cape Town. I lived on Ruland Street.
I lived in Century City.
That's right there next to Milnerton, and that's also affordable.
For 1 year, though. It was nice.
Yeah, it's decently priced. You know what I mean? I see there's also some nice, decently priced apartments going up on Sable Road right there in Century City. Yeah, right after that big bend, right, big curve. So, there's lots that it has to offer. But there is no one there that actually has an intention, right, to actually create an economy in the city. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we don't get to actually see what is the problem with Cape Town. The problem with Cape Town, right, is that it's always what it's been. It's always been a colonial outpost, right? So all the work is basically from high commissions. So the British High Commission, the Dutch High Commission or whatever, or you name it, all these European countries, they've got businesses that they operate outside of Cape Town. And they operate them however they operate them, and then they find some local slaves, that they can have working within the organization, and that is basically how the economy is constructed. There's nothing that is from Cape Town that is part of the Cape Town economy. The entire economy is imported. Completely. So there's no space to even go into. And there's no people that are part of that economy that have got any ties to the land or its people. So they don't care about the condition of the people. I went to Riverlands, there where Jeff Bezos bought out the native inhabitants, the Aboriginal people from that space. And I see what Amazon is doing, right? But my question is for us as people, what is our counter to that? Okay, Jeff Bezos wants to build a little development here, it's sacred land or whatever. Yes, but other than it being sacred and just being kept for the sake of being kept, right? What is our counter? How are we going to develop it? How are we going to develop it in our own ways? We don't have our own ways. We don't know our own ways. We can't remember our own ways. And why is that? Because those mountains have cut Cape Town off from its actual people. That provincial border also cuts out a lot of the Western Cape's natural people, right? From the Western Cape. So they're now trapped within the Northern Cape, right? And trying to create a culture out of a province, which is just a geographic location. And that's not really how you create a culture. You know what I mean? A culture is created by its people. So all of these people who are similar, genetically, are dislocated in little pockets, and therefore they cannot ever come together to create, a culture of the people. So Cape Town is devoid of any native culture. Then you've got the Xhosa people who are now trapped in the black areas, right, of the Cape Flats. They are bastardized to the point of never being naturals there. So I've got family in the Western Cape because they moved there before 1960 or before the 1950s. We've had family in the Western Cape, so they've always been there. The reason why there's so few of them is because the rest of the family wasn't able to move there with them after the 1960s because black people weren't allowed to move to Cape Town or reside in Cape Town. You needed a work contract that allowed you to be there while you're working. Otherwise, you move back to wherever it is. So this whole entire notion of Eastern Cape's people being economic refugees in the Western Cape is a long-held thing. You know what I mean? Helen Ziller didn't invent it. She's just reviving old apartheid relics, as she does, and painting them as progress, I guess. However, that can be debated. So those people also don't have ties to Cape Town. You understand? They are Cape Flats people. They can say, yeah, I'm from Khayelitsha, I'm from Culture, whatever. I'm from Langa, where my cousins are at, but they don't have ties to the actual land itself, And therefore, you've got no one native fighting for Cape Town. And Cape Town is being abandoned because of that. Now, how do we see this? Because you can see that there are people fighting for Pretoria. You can see that there are people fighting for Johannesburg. You can see that there are people fighting for Durban. You know what I mean? They are marching there on Point Road. You know what I mean? They're at Adderley Hospital, or Addington Hospital and Addington Primary School, trying to get their kids inside the school, fighting for the native people of this country to actually be given priority. You don't have any of that in the Western Cape, and you don't get to see that. And so those are the things that we miss in the flight. Now, the reason why I'm dwelling so much on this is because by the time you guys see this, it would have already passed. But the State of the Nation address is happening. And I did say I used to live on Ruland Street, right? 37 Ruland Street. What's right next door to 37 Ruland Street? The parking lot. The parking lot where Amen.
Sure. Sorry, yeah.
So the parking lot, right, my old parking lot where I used to stay on 37 Ruland Street is now actually Parliament. That tent is there, right next to the Perspectives building, is right there.
Yeah.
Right? So, doing my little parliamentary oversight, driving around the Parliament building, driving around Mavericks and all those areas, I'm thinking to myself,
Mavericks.
Why is it right next to Parliament?
Cousin yakabo grand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Umtana kabo chivalry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or royal, lezo.
So, right there by Mavericks, also next to the police station there.
Nayithanda inonoza.
Yonke into.
Ayinonoza
Yonke
nakhulunywa
into
ngayo.
laphaya.
Yeah, ilaphaya. Asesigela ngase UCT angithi.
No. Well, no, you CPUT. That's District 6.
CPUT, sorry. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, when you've been to
Hayi,
all these
Mavericks,
schools, they become a blur.
Sayazi Mavericks. Sidala siphila man.
Yeah. So
Kanti ngicanga ukuthi wazale kanjani lama 2000?
I'm a 2010 one. Yes, you're a pig. So when you think about the fact that we're about to go into the sauna, right? I think to myself, damn, why have we never demanded that the president drives back to Johannesburg or wherever he stays? You know what I mean? In Hyde Park, whatever. Drives back to Hyde Park from Cape Town. Like drives with the full, whatever, all the bodyguards, everybody, the whole entire thing, 20-car motorcade, whatever it needs to be, it's fun. It'll be good for all those petrol stations and all the businesses along the way when they need to stop. You know what I mean?
The president driving back from
Sona.
He's too busy to be on the road for 15 hours. Bro.
No, he's not. That 15 hours, he will be able to do a lot of work of actually seeing the country and seeing the great divide within the country, seeing how we have two countries in one country, and you can see it on that drive. That drive shows you that we've actually got, like, the Western Cape is a completely different country. It's a different country altogether. You see it in podcasting. Western Cape has got all the studios, they've got podcasters and everything else. But you'll do a Western Cape podcast, it'll never go anywhere, it'll never be seen anywhere, other than by Cape Town people. Yo, you don't understand. I've never been so famous in the Western Cape in my life. I was greeted by grandmothers, uncles, aunts. Not greeted, nah. Greeted and said, okay, sit here, Nota. Let me have a word with you. Let me talk to you about certain things. And that's because of that Fediel Adams interview.
Episode.
But it's got, 20,000 views or something, less than 20,000 views.
Yeah.
The whole of Cape Town saw it.
It's on 50,000 views.
Okay, but the whole of Cape Town saw it. Or everybody.
Are you serious?
Everybody. When I tell you that...
Fadil is big in Cape Town, ne?
Chief, when I go to Midas, they're asking me about, we saw you with Fadil. When I go sit at the coffee shop, by Church Square, there's a coffee shop inside the church, right there.
Yeah, I know that coffee shop. There,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The guy sitting there at the coffee shop sees me, wants to have a conversation. We end up having like a 20-minute long conversation. I never knew, how well received his message has been within the Western Cape or understood it. But I also never got to experience Cape Town and being told about it from the real people that live there, not just my rich friends, you know what I mean, who don't really know what the issues are. And not to say that my friends are like rich or like super wealthy or anything else, but they're in a better off position than most people.
Oh, but benza kanje.
Clock it. No.
His rich friends.
Yeah, no, but I mean, they're in a better off position. You understand what I'm saying? They're in a better off position than the person working at Checkers, or at Spa or wherever it is. You know what I mean? At Babylon Store, So seeing that and seeing that, our president is really completely aloof, and misses everything. He only got to see the pothole situation in Joburg when he was driving through the streets for the first time and sees, oh my goodness, wow. You know what I mean? So I need him to go on that drive. I need him to also see how risky that drive is. You know what I mean? I want to see if 20 cars in a motorcade can make it from Cape Town to Joburg, all of them safely. I don't believe they can. I want to see it. Hopefully, because they're police, they're, security guys, they're good drivers and everything else. You know what I mean? That's a very difficult drive to do. Takes a lot of concentration. You know what I mean? Takes a lot of determination. Imagine not being able to touch your phone or like you can't check WhatsApp, you can't see a message, you can't see what's the notifications on TikTok. You can't do that on that drive. That drive! You're playing with people's lives, not just your life. I mean, you could survive an accident, but who could you take with you? if you're risky on that drive. So I want him to do that. I want him to stay away from the promenade. I want him to do it after Sonia. I want him to do that. I know that he didn't do that this time, but I want him to do that one of these years. If he gets another Sonia, if he's that lucky. I want him to speak to the people, like actually hear from the real people. I want him to see that in Sea Point, it's only tourists that are there. Sea Point is completely empty. Maziti, 8 down. By 8 p.m., there is no local. But when that check is there at the top, there in Sea Point, that check is there at the top, opposite to the Standard Bank. I see that one. I think that one closes the latest. Valango 8. I think I know that because I once had to get money from a money market, and that was the last one I could find. So they close at 8. When they are closed, that whole entire town is dead. Dead. Completely dead. There's no one there. You understand what I'm saying? I said on an episode that we shot at the beginning of 2024, I said, you don't even hear Afrikaans anymore in Camps Bay. I said, you hear French, you hear German, you hear all the other languages. So even the Afrikaners have been pushed out. You understand what I'm saying? They're in Port Elizabeth now. That's where they're holidaying now. That's where they're having their coastal
About
time.
Ronaldo Ghost.
You
You
understand?
know he lives in Kabecha, no?
He lives there, I know.
Don't call it Port Elizabeth, it's Kabecha.
Can he say that?
Ronaldo, what's up? Can you say Kabecha?
Can you say that?
By the way, you must come back for part 2. It's 2026.
Yeah.
Guys, please take Ronaldo Ghost there. Show him this clip. He must come back. 2026. You and Nota part 2. We want it.
You know what I can say though? Kukompo.
Oh, Kukompo.
No,
That's got
Kukompo.
a-
Is it
East
Kukompo
London,
or
right?
Kukompo?
Oh, Ukompo, not Kukompo.
No, Kukompo.
Oh,
I think-
Kukompo.
Yeah, Kukompo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know who Kompo was, but I'll find out now. You know what I mean? He's got the whole entire town named after him. So, so the Kukompo people are not going to fight for Cape Town. The Port Elizabeth, Qabecha. The Qabecha people are not going to fight for Cape Town. The Craddock people, Ekala Dog, they're not going to fight for the Bishop people, King Williamstown people, Queenstown people. They're not going to fight for Cape Town. You know what I mean? The Colesberg people are not going to fight for Cape Town. The Namakwaland people, they're not going to fight for Cape Town. Unfortunately, the only people that can fight for Cape Town is us from Gauteng. We know how to live with everyone and still make our country our country. It still feels like South Africa in Johannesburg. It doesn't.
No, bro. Have you been to Hillbrow? Have you been to Kempton Park?
Yeah, I've seen all of those things, and I know what you're saying. I know what you're
Have
saying.
you been to Chemiston?
I know what you're saying. But let me tell you something. Even in those places, they might be dominated by foreign nationals, right? But it's foreign nationals that are in a place in South Africa. Do you understand what I'm saying? In Johannesburg, you can see progressing, well-off, thriving native South Africans. You can see them. In the Western Cape, you cannot even see
But
them.
bro, restaurants in Joburg, you don't see a single South African waitressing or waitering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a single South African in any restaurant.
Especially Sandton.
Sure, bro.
Especially in Sandton.
Ipaza shop, you don't see any South African anymore. Well, my friend, Yonkindao, the whole
Nasema
country.
garage.
All the way to the top of Limpopo, bro.
Nasema garage.
Ah,
Nasema
guys.
garage. You understand what I'm saying? So we are losing a battle for the Western Cape because there are these outside influences that are saying, hey, they want to cessate and everything else, and no one is actively countering them on that terrain.
So let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're saying Cape Town is like that, you've mentioned you hear German, French, etc. Do you hear Igbo? Because I also hear the Nigerian community is growing in Cape Town,
In Parklands.
and apparently they're bowling. bahamba ngama Lamborghini.
Zonke. If you see a bowling car, you must know that it's a Nigerian. If you see a Mercedes-Benz, you must know it's a Nigerian. In fact, if you see a Mercedes-Benz, it's stopped. Why? Because they assume that you're a Nigerian. And then when you open your window and you say, hola, say, how? Can't do a Nota. Imagine that. The cops are looking for something, do me something, give me something nice. You know what I mean? They're stopping you, assuming that, no, wangale, so therefore they can check you, unamaphepha, okay, let's see if we can score a bribe from you or something like that. That's what they're stopping with the intention of. And they're disappointed when you're a South African. Just imagine that. A cop stopping you and being disappointed that you're a South African. You don't feel that in Joburg. Just imagine that.
Guys, did you hear what he just said? Say that again.
No, I don't need to. They heard it. They'll rewind. You go YouTube, Lent.
South Africa.
This is South Africa.
Wow, mangala, good thing in South Africa.
You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like Cyril needs to experience some of these things, because the nonsense that they prepare for him to say in his Sonia addresses shows that they're completely disconnected.
Welcome back for the new year. It is 2026 and we've started again talking about property investments. What we've done is all the knowledge that we've acquired over the past 5 years, we've put it onto a book called Brick by Brick, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Property Wealth. I just want to thank all of our investors with KZN Property Development. Thank you guys for walking the journey with us over the past couple of years. Thank you for being patient. We didn't think that it'll take us this long. We didn't know how difficult the journey would be, but it's always nice to comply with the rules and regulations of the government so you do things correctly. The last thing you need is when you guys are staying nice and comfortable in your beautiful homes, and then TLB government is because we didn't do things correctly. So rather than delay and do things correctly according to the laws of the government, rather than just ukurashizinto. So besicela ukubonga believer ku KZN Property Development. We are almost done with Robin Park. We are moving into Green Hills this year. We also are starting to build at Bears Nodia, Corner Bears Nodia and College Road. We're also building at our Ngonyama Lifestyle Estate. There are group investment opportunities. Do get in touch with us on our website, www.ekazinoproperties.com. There's also opportunities where you can buy a stand and build for yourself. Stands are available at our different residential estates. You can also look at the Stockfell opportunities. Just get in touch with us on our website, ekazinoproperties.com, and become a property investor. The book is available from the end of January at all exclusive bookstores nationwide.
They're completely dislocated from our reality. You know, there's nothing more disappointing than being black in Cape Town. It's like, oh, damn it, I can really feel I'm black. Like, I'm like black. I'm like black, not in a good way. Black, I'm black as in dirty. I'm black as in cheap. I'm black as in unwanted. I'm black as in out of place. I'm black as in... You know what I mean? It's terrible. So, yeah. I think Cyril needs to go there. I think Cyril needs to go to Old Biscuit Mill as well. I was there at Old Biscuit Mill in Woodstock.
You don't think he's been?
No.
It's lovely. I love it. I love it on Saturday mornings.
Yeah. I think it's open Saturdays and Sundays. You know, I was there. I was there with who did I go with? Okay. No, I was there with a young lad, Karabo. He's my other OG, my other Grootman, Arthur's nephew. Yeah, he's Arthur's sister's son, Karabo, and he's got the same name as me. You know what I mean? And I was showing him and his cousins and the rest of the team another side of Cape Town that they don't usually get to see. Those are the ones that I took to actually Eden on the Bay to watch the sunset there. And you can actually see Robben Island. You know what I mean? You can actually be like, yo, Madiba! You know, I was just reminiscing, maybe if I was there sometime 1970 something, you know, on that beach, and I could see, you know, now Mandela, you know what I mean? Let me just give him a shout out, like, yo, you know. So I was screaming at Robben Island from Eden on the Bay with them. We got to take nice pictures. We got to go to the Old Biscuit Mill, see the businesses there, see the shops there. I think they also got to collect some content or shoot some content, you know, speak to some of the traders in the stalls. And then when you go there, you realize, damn, like even the spaces where we are supposed to just be able to show the world who we are and our community, those are foreign dominated as well. You know what I mean? There's the Greek restaurant there on that side. There's this restaurant. There's Mexican food on that side. There's, you know what I mean? There's almost nowhere where you can get a South African experience. And it's as if like Cape Town is a museum of Western civilization. It's like all the best of the West is now put in this southern archipelago, you know, paradise.
Chesa. Uyangilahlela ku-dictionary Nota.
No, I'm just saying it's like that's
Southern Bani?
It's an archipelago. You know what I mean?
Archipelago. What is
It's
archipelago?
like a little island.
Oh,
you know what I
okay.
mean?
Is the island called archipelago?
No, the Galapagos.
What does the
Islands.
word mean?
Did you see the Galapagos Islands? Those are all archipelagos.
What is an archipelago?
Yo, where? Damn, you know, I know how to use
I
it.
know
but not to give you
ngesilungu bafisa. Akafani nathi sifunde Thembisa.
to give you the dictionary.
Sifunde wela mlambo.
You know what I mean?
Archipelago.
Yeah.
Let me Google it.
Yeah. Please.
And when we khuluma rap nje ngathi kubuki ayangaze ngilizwe lelo gama ngiyaqala ukulizwa ngimdala nakanga. Okay, let's go to Google. Who's Google? Don't tell me about Google. Archipelago. Igama liphuma nje ngathi lo muntu uyadlala. Nota ngifundile nina.
You understand?
Archipelago. Okay,
Yeah,
let's go.
like the Galapagos. It's an extension of a group of islands. That's an archipelago.
Oh, okay.
Like the Galapagos.
Oh, it's ARCHI and then Pelago, PELAGO. Oh, archipelago. Okay, and then they say the meaning, it is an area that contains a chain or a group of islands scattered in lakes, rivers, or the ocean. Thank you for schooling me, my man. Hey, you're always schooling me every week.
Yeah.
Guys, mina ngizobhoda ngihlakaniphe too much. Ngiphila noNota nabo Penuel nabo advocate nabo Prince Mashele ngifunda njalo.
So Cape Town is this little archipelago, and you've got the British Isles there, you've got the French Quarter there, you've got, you know, the German section, you know, everything. You've got the Spanish armadas, yachts sitting, you know, you've got all of Europe, and they're just showing what European culture can do in an African paradise. And it's not us. So that's the mentality that they don't have in Cape Town that we have in Jozi. We are fighting for our Jozi back. Like, I hear what you're saying. Kempton Park, yes, it's overrun. Sunnyside is overrun. You name it. There's places that are overrun. There's places, what's this place? Meyerton. You know Meyerton?
Yeah, I do.
Eval.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I know, I do.
Foot. Foreigners as well. They've moved into Meyerton.
Because I haven't been there in a while.
I'm just
I
saying.
shot the music video, I remember when it rained there.
You understand? So, you understand? It's different now. It doesn't just rain water. Now it rains Heineken over there. You can smell it in the air.
Doesn't rain champagne.
No. You can hear that, they are brewing something serious. So on your drive to Meyerton, you know, you're on the R59. Uzwanje ipunga lepiya. You know, like, you know, when your dad wakes up after a rough night and you hear him yawning, and then after he yawns, like 10 seconds later, you can just, it's like a brewery in the house. That's how it smells when you're driving on that R59. You understand? It smells like, I'll tell you that, it smells like Brenda Fassie's kisses. No. I don't mean in a bad way.
No, Mama Brenda Fassie's slander will be allowed. No. We love Mama Brenda.
No, we're not slandering. So it's a joke.
No, stop it.
I want to tell you a little joke.
Black label.
So that's exactly what my, not Black Label, Lion. Lion
Or milk stout.
No. Mapr begapuzi Lion Lager. You understand? Yeah, Lion Lager, the classy one. So the first time we went to Cape Town on an aeroplane, right? So we met Mapr at the airport. And then obviously she loves kids. You know what I mean? And kids love Mapr. So we kissed Mapr on the lips, both of us. Me and my little brother. And then my little brother's like, her kisses taste like daddy.
Hey, no, Tamaru,
Her kisses taste like daddy. And she's from Langa. And that's in Kwalanga. You know, so where my family is from as well. So, you know what I mean? So she's a legend from the hometown.
Yeah.
So, you know, this fight that we're having right now for our city, and we're seeing it, our cities as well. Shout out to Usis Jacinta.
Yeah, Jacinta Ngobese.
I struggle saying that name. Jacinta.
Ngobese, the same name, no?
Ngobese Zuma, yes.
Yeah.
And her husband as well.
We must have her. I'd love to watch a conversation between you and her. We must invite her.
I'd like to speak to her husband as well.
But they did a dope job. I think Solon McGee killed it. They killed that interview. It was
No
amazing.
Ghost Lady.
It was a beautiful interview.
No Ghost
Ghost
Lady.
Lady always plays a part. She
Ghost Lady
always does a great job, yeah.
But fair to you guys don't understand that Ghost Lady is South Africa. You see, the collective common sense, insight, intelligence, and everything of the general public as a whole is represented by Ghost Lady. You understand? So she represents people who don't usually comment in the comments. You understand? People who don't have their own TikTok pages where they're posting, who don't have their own Instagram where they're posting pictures. She shows you the collective, you know, sentiment of the country and the feeling of things. You know what I mean? The other guys on the show, they can go crazy, you know, they're comedic and everything else, but, you know, a lot of people, they underrate the work that Ghost Lady does. The work that Ghost Lady does is the work that Cyril needs to be doing. Just sitting there listening. Listen to people. Listen to people say what they are saying, and then ufakaze kancane nje. Uphethe sihleke, okay, and then correct, and then okay, we move on to the next thing, and then we can actually see progress. Then we can actually start to actually have a conversation with our leadership. Right now, we're being dictated to by people who don't know what they're doing. There is no precedent of success anywhere in the world for any of the policies that they're proposing. The policies that they're proposing are the policies that were proposed in the 70s and 80s. They failed in Britain. They're failing in Britain. Britain nationalized their steel companies. South Africa is now renationalizing ArcelorMittal. So ISCO is coming back. Imagine. But that's after we've sold it, and now we're buying it, and it's much weaker than what it was when we sold it. Just imagine that. And electricity prices are now up by 700% since we sold it. Just imagine that. So it's weaker, and it's costlier, and guess who now has to pay for it? You. You with that 14%. Yeah. Even you that you think you don't pay tax, but all of us pay taxes. Even you, okay, but it taxi. Yeah. Every liter of fuel that goes into that taxi pays tax. You know what I mean? That's why they call it a taxi. You know? It taxes. So, you know what I mean? So now we are stepping into, I guess, the second year of this new administration, like the second full year of this new administration.
Of the GNU.
You know, we're also stepping into another election, a local election, the most important election, you know, the one that affects us and our needs, you know what I mean? The one that determines whether, you know, you're gathering in the swimming pool. You don't live in Waterfall. You don't get the joke. Ne?
I used to live in Waterfall. I don't anymore.
Oh, okay.
I sold. I used to live with same estate with Okrotman Oskido.
Oh, nice.
With
nice,
Bonang,
nice.
with the major league guys.
Oh,
We were
yes.
all there.
I know
yeah.
that place. Oh, okay.
Before I moved to Cape Town, before COVID-19 lockdown,
Yeah.
I sold. And then
Before
I went
Bakezela swimming pool.
to Cape Town for a year, and then Young Bonisa, but then it showed me flame. I'm too much of a hustler to live in Cape
Flames.
Town. I got bored, yeah. It's too slow for me, for a person like me. Then I came back.
Nice.
But it was easier to live in Cape Town for a year because it was lockdown.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. Oh, well, I mean.
I need to change my profile. My profile still says I live in Cape Town. But sometimes you must confuse the name. Maybe let me leave it, you know? Yeah.
No.
My Twitter and my Instagram still say
I
I say stay in Cape Town.
No, all of us must claim our places in Cape Town. Cape Town needs Joburg people. It needs Gautengers. It needs our mentality. It needs our upstart. You know what I mean? It needs our startups. Because in Cape Town, it's just rich kids. Cape Town feels like New York. In New York, all I could see was...
No, it feels like LA.
No. It looks like LA. It feels like New York. You understand what I'm
You
saying?
agree, bro?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No, man. Not
look,
Cape Town, not New York.
You can New York.
Maybe Miami or LA, bro.
No, New York. Let me tell you why.
Why?
In Cape Town, you can walk in front of shop fronts. It's like a walkable city. It's built like an old Dutch town. New York is an old Dutch town. New Holland, Cape Town is an old Dutch town. It was built by the same people, the architecture is the same. If you actually understand the original New York architecture, how it was built, the structure, the way the city is laid out, and you go into Cape Town and you understand New York, you understand? Like, I understand New York. I know my way around, like, back to front New York. So I know a lot of New Yorkers, they'd be able to relate. And that's why they feel so comfortable in Cape Town. You know what I mean? It's relatable. But it doesn't have that entrepreneurial spirit of New York. You understand what I'm saying? The hustle spirit. Because the people that come there don't come there for the hustle. You understand? So it's misaligned to what its purpose actually is. You know, and it should be a hustle place. It should be a place of hustle. You know what I mean? It's our port to the Atlantic Ocean as well. So that should be a place where people have that hustle mentality. That's why it needs people from Joburg or people from Gauteng that actually have direction, that actually have a plan.
To papamisa it.
Just, hey, you understand what I'm saying?
Papaman man.
Hey, come on. Simzansi la.
Akulalwa la man.
Hey, you know what I mean? That's the
Nakhona
thing.
nje.
Bavuka ngo-8 Cape Town.
Baqala ukusipana ngo-10.
Imagine. Imagine. Umuntu omnyama uvuka ngo-10.
Hayi ukuthi bavuka ngo-10 baqala ukusipana
No,
ngo-10.
but I'm just saying, umuntu omnyama uvuka ngo-10. Just like imagine, I can just imagine what my mother would say.
Akekho umuntu omnyama uvuka ngo-10. Abantu abamnyama sijwayele ukuvuka ekuseni.
You understand what I'm saying? We've got the highest waking up time in the
Man,
world.
we grew up abantu abadala intombazane yakini or mawulethu kumele avuke ekuseni ayothanyela ibale. Akazokuthanyela ibale ngalo mthanyelo wakudala.
You understand? Frefi stoop.
Yeah.
All those types of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what they're lacking. They need that Joburg spirit. You know what I mean? They need the Gauteng hustle culture to actually show them or shock them into hustling for themselves. Like, yo, build up your city. Your people are now the, well...
Ukhosi sorry athi lapho mina ngiqeda ukuvuka manje. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Ukuspana, yes.
So let me tell the people on YouTube. Sorry, guys. Me and Nota. I'm streaming. I'm live streaming while we're recording the episode on TikTok. So as it goes, I keep on seeing some comments. That's where it comes from.
Malini lapho ku TikTok.
Angaka monetize yami, yes. Emaruma uDr. Malinga twenzi nyuke bhaya. I've met two people who tell me they make over 100,000 a month on TikTok. Number one is Dr. Malinga and the other one is sorry man ukhuluma ikhwama zabantu. But another person who told me is doing well on TikTok, man, who used to act with Leon Schuster. Alfred Ntombela.
Oh. So no money is not from Roots. It's from TikTok.
Yeah?
I thought his money is coming from Roots. I thought he had a brand campaign with Roots.
Oh yeah, maybe the brand but you know, brand campaigns usually just a once-off fee. You know? But TikTok is an ongoing. He's always on live. He's always live. Even not Dr. Maling is always live on TikTok.
Damn.
They make money.
They're making too much money, clearly, because in Nigeria here, they shut down TikTok live between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. You know.
Why?
I have no idea. I'm not on Nigerian TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I've never watched a TikTok live in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they are watching you now.
I've never watched a TikTok live. You know what I mean?
So I hope I did not disturb your train of thought.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying all the things that Cyril needs to actually do, while instead of being in that parliamentary village. You know what I mean? Fidield is right. You'll never know what's going on if you're just stuck in that parliamentary village. You know what I mean? You'll never see what's actually happening within that city. And I went to Muizenberg Beach, and I'm like, it's a nice place. It should be an actual town with actually people living there. And places are affordable there, you know what I mean? The housing is not that expensive, apart from, you know, the gentrified houses that are being built by foreign tourists. But as soon as it's 9 a.m., Muizenberg, it's completely empty. It's full on the weekends. That's when people come out to the beach, you know what I mean? There's a market there on Muizenberg Beach, you know what I mean? People come to take pictures next to those, you know, those Wendy houses, those multicolored Wendy
those
houses.
nice ones,
That's a lovely, yes, that's a lovely thing to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, there's nothing. You know what I mean? That the entire town is completely empty. Now you need to think about the person that's selling bread and milk. Who are they going to sell to if it's only tourists? Tourists don't buy bread and milk. So even these spaza shop businesses, even if they are taken over, they won't have customers. They won't have anyone to buy there because there's no one that lives in the city. There's no one that needs groceries within the city. And why would they buy groceries in the city when now you have to get on a taxi, get on a train with a whole lot of groceries, and there's a mall that's been built in your township, which is closer. You know what I mean? To make sure that you don't support any of the local businesses within your township, you support, the big corporations that fill up the malls. You know what I mean? Those are the things that are killing our economies, killing our country. The other thing that we need to bring to the fore is the fact that people are our greatest human resource. And we're forgetting that. So when Auntie Pat brags about how much tourists are coming in, those tourists are not being brought by Auntie Pat. Auntie Pat, you've got nothing to do with the tourists that are coming to South Africa. They're coming here for the people. And where do they know South African people from? From our music videos. We are the ones, us who make music videos. We are the ones that are bringing in all these tourists. We are the ones that are bringing in these dollars. And you haven't given us a cent. Shame on you. Shame on you. Former mayor of Cape Town. She knows how that was constructed. She knows what Airbnb has done to Cape Town. Now she's in tourism. Cape Town has become a tourist economy. That is it. You know what I mean? There's no real economy other than tourism there. She knows what that has become. And she knows who is owed the credit. Gauteng is owed the credit. Cape Town does not export our culture to the world. What do people see from Cape Town, coming from Cape Town, that makes them want to come to South Africa? Nothing. What is Cape Town music? Cape Town movies? Cape Town TV shows?
The beauty of Cape Town.
That's the natural beauty of Cape Town.
Yeah.
That's God-given. Yes. I'm not talking about our God-given talents and what brings people here from God. I'm talking about the other God-given talent of our human resources.
Or human resource. Yeah.
Yes. They don't get to experience Cape Town's humanity. Cape Town is so terrible that the service has gone down. The quality of food has gone down. You know what I mean? People used to always say, yeah, you know what I don't like about having black women in our restaurants is that they complain a lot. Yes, okay, fine. I understand. I understand our sisters do complain a lot, right? But without their complaints, we've got terrible food. Now, because our sisters are being priced out of all these places, there's no one there to keep up the standards. So the food is terrible. People are being shown around Cape Town by people who are not even from South Africa. Don't know anything about South Africa's history. Uber drivers busy pretending that they're tour guides to make extra money. Umazenzel. Just like in Soweto now, everyone is a tour guide in Soweto. But at least those are Sowetans. You understand what I'm saying? I know, Mashaya, Mara, at least, who's our biggest stars somewhere. You know what I mean? But now it's a complete foreigner that's showing you this city, which is bringing our tourists, which is the cash cow. Honestly, and there's no Joburg people to take advantage of that opportunity and say, hey, this is how it should be done. This is how we make business out of this. And this is how we're going to do it with South Africans. There's no one with that mentality. And that's why that mentality is needed. Our people need to be there. Because Abo Anti-Pet, they're from the Western Cape. They're not Joburgers. You understand? They come with that Cape Town colonized mentality. You understand? The same mentality that we complain about from our parents, because our parents' generation, were beaten down by apartheid even more than we were. You understand? And each and every generation. In Cape Town, it's like they're three levels back. Just the way they are so accepting of their condition. There's no ways you can accept to live in such conditions. There's no way you can accept to live in such conditions. So the only solution now is to bring in Joburg mentality. And what is that Joburg mentality going to do to Cape Town? They're going to wait and watch as they build that wall. And then when that wall is done being built, they're going to bash it down themselves. And then say, start again. Get another 140 million, build another wall. We'll bash down each and every single wall until you realize that these are the people of this city. The people that you want to keep enclosed and away from the tourists, and you don't want them to be seen. You want them to be out of sight, out of mind. And let me tell you something, that wall is not going to block the smell. You'll still be able to smell that those people are right there, living in squalor. Can't be too. You understand? Like our president saw when he walked down those streets. Which can't be too. That's when we'll start to see some actual, I don't know, sentiment change down in the Western Cape, because they're letting our country down. They're seriously letting our country down, you know what I mean, by allowing it to be sold in wholesale level and providing no resistance. And the only resistance is supposed to come from white people. The white people who are crying. We need white women's tears. Oh, I can't pay my rent because I don't earn 30,000 a month now. I can't live in Sea Point. Move to Milnerton, girl. Simple. How? It's that simple. It's like, what are you crying for? Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't see people in Joburg saying, I can't stay at the Leonardo. It's the Leonardo. How? You expect it to be like, what? Student housing? No. So, you know, those are some of the things that I feel like we'll never hear discussed in a Sona. It's something that simple. We'll be distracted with 20,000 new plans that they've got, a new priority list of 21 priorities. You know what I mean? Because someone can really have 21 priorities. I mean, like, yes. Like, I mean, one priority is the maximum priority that anyone could actually have, because that's the meaning of priority. That's it. That's it. What comes first? You understand? You can't have more than one thing coming first. That's not priority. You understand what I'm saying? So with the laundry list of priorities that Cyril is going to not deliver on, you know, I just feel like the research that needs to be done on the ground is that these people need to drive on that N1 all the way up to Louis Trichardt. You know what I mean? All the way up to the top of the N1. And then when they get to the top of the N1, they need to assess the situation there. They need to go to the schools and tell me why our teachers' first language is Shona in Limpopo.
Is it?
15,000 teaching positions haven't been placed. People are saying, hey, our teachers are not getting jobs. The Western Cape cut their budget, cut 2,600 teaching jobs as well. You know what I mean? Because it's not like they're going to be teaching South Africans, so I guess it's not really a great loss. But in Limpopo, you'll struggle to find a school with South African teachers. I'm serious. It's like you will struggle to find a school that is predominantly South African teachers where it's visible, especially in maths and sciences. Then you ask yourself, why was it so popular when they decided to give us maths literacy in school? Like, you literally making your population stupid because maths literacy is not sufficient, mathematical knowledge, especially when technology is advancing. Just imagine this. You know that you're going into a fourth industrial revolution, which is going to need people to have mathematical skills. You know what I mean? Analytical skills. Maths teaches you analytical skills. All of those types of things. Why would you then say, no, let us, in high school, from grade 10 onwards, allow people to drop mathematics? Instead of saying, let us start at the beginning and start mathematics in early childhood development centers, start mathematics in our creches, start numeracy, arithmetic, and all of those things even earlier, so that we've got more time to teach this maths literacy to the kids, so that they have the maths literacy by the time they finish primary school, which is actually what math literacy is. It's primary school level knowledge of mathematics. You know what I mean? Well, secondary school. You know what I mean? That's all they're giving you. They should be giving you that as a basic in primary school so that by the time you get to high school, right, you don't struggle as much with maths. You are better prepared to deal with maths. If you are struggling with maths, it's because you're not getting 50% or 60%. You are getting 30 and 40%. But even 30 and 40% in pure mathematics is far better than an 80 in maths literacy. Far better. So why would you even do that? Like, what is the return on investment in dumbing down your kids? like your own kids. You understand? It's not like there was a foreign government that came over and took over the Department of Education and all these departments and everything else. These people are educating their own kids. You understand? Okay, let's forget you're educating your kids. Your kids need to marry somebody. You want your kids to marry the idiots that you miseducated. Like, is that what you want? Like, you know what I mean? Or you're going to be able to control that, no, my kids are going to marry other kids who are going to be properly educated, and we're going to isolate ourselves. We're going to be like Bonsmara cattle. You know what I mean? You know, like all the guys, Nabo Cyril Ramaphosa, they've isolated their cattle. John Steenhuisen's busy warning us about foot and mouth disease. They're like, dog, we've got mountains around our cows. We've got so much land, there's mountains, there's rivers. Like, that foot and mouth disease will need to trek. You know what I mean? It will need to be a foot trekker to get to us. It'll need an Osava to get to us. You know what I mean? They're far from foot and mouth disease. You know what I mean? They live in a different dimension. You can't isolate these kids. You're stupefying the voting cattle that you're trying to create. That's literally what they're trying to turn us into voting kettles. And how do they turn us into voting kettles? They make us dependent on welfare. So these people that don't have maths literacy and everything else, you're signing them up to be dependent on some form of welfare. And once they're dependent on welfare, then you've got them. You've got them for life. You understand? They're miseducated. They're misdirected. They're propagandized. They're being fed misinformation left, right, and center. And they don't have the analytical skills to tell left from right. The most basic thing. You understand what I'm saying? So that is our biggest challenge right now when we assess the state of the nation, is that we're in a state of complete disrepair. We missed it last week and the week before. The Sis Nandi thingamajig. Have you spoken to Zake since?
No, I haven't. I last spoke to him.
Why did he allow her to do that? Why?
In December.
Why amenza so nandi? I was excited, maranaya galunganga. Like, why would he allow? How?
But
His
what's
wife
wrong?
to-
She didn't speak bad at all.
It's not allowed.
What do you mean it's not allowed?
It's not allowed. What she said is not allowed. It's banned.
Nah, man.
It's banned.
By
Have
who?
you- by the people in the comments, the people in the... Have you seen what Mamtuye Ganjan?
Oh,
The entire feminist armada came out. The entire thing. Every feminist with a TikTok came there telling us, because we're like, how? Unandi, we respect her. Usiswe too. You know what I mean? She's like 2 years older than me, I think. Usiswam. So, you know what I mean? Like...
I was hurt. I was really hurt, Nota. And I'll tell you why. I understand our sister's plight when we talk about, 2 months ago it was December, talking about GBV and the harm that we cause our sisters. As much as we are not perfect as South African men, as black men, right? It's extremely, extremely disappointing to hear that overwhelming energy of hate against South African men. It's like the devil that has come up with an idea to break that black family unit is winning. It's like they're winning. Because you saw it online. Because for me, that's what it was. I felt it as hate. I understand when people say Black Lives Matter, but I don't understand when they say that white people would come up and say, but all lives matter. Right? As much as when sisters do come and say men are trash, you don't see a lot of us going, yeah, but because you know you're not trash. Why should you be offended, right? But anyway, I just had to express this one on camera, which it disappointed me as a father of a girl child, and as a father was brought up by a black mother, and as a father as somebody who loves black women. I love South African women. I love black women. Angazi ngitethi ngizifunela nje mina abosisi bethu ba like asiyabancanya uyangifunda. Marukuze energy yokuthi sizondiwa kangaka
by the same people that we love and protect.
When have you seen South African men marrying women from other countries?
In general.
Or marrying Nigerians or marrying even, you know what I mean? Like South African men, majority of us marry South African women.
Yeah,
we call us South African women.
It's not even South African
Like we
women.
love you guys. We love you guys.
It's not even South African women. It's, for me, it's the hatred of black men and the fact that our sisters see that the system is against us and they relish it. They want to see us being destroyed. And for me, the biggest concern is that we have never done anything to our sisters. Everything that they talk about is a lie. It's a fallacy. There's never been patriarchy in Africa. We've never lived in a society where women are beneath men.
Before colonization, African continent has always been matriarchal.
Well, I wouldn't even call it matriarchal. It was codependent, interdependent, communal. Everyone knew their role. Everyone played their position. We weren't competing. We weren't one above the other. We were beside one another. You understand what I'm saying? Like they say the man came from the woman's rib. If you're attached at the rib, you're Siamese twins. You understand what I'm saying? Mpono mponyan.
Kasipedi ba re mnona le lenala.
That's it.
Izipho nomuno.
You
Into
understand?
eyodwa.
That's it. That's it. So I don't know where their hatred of us comes from. It's not organic. And for me, it can only be the love of whiteness that has corrupted our sisters, because they don't have a reason to actually look at black men as the enemy. Ever. In our history as black people, we've never, ever, ever oppressed women. Ever. That's never been an instance, never been a case. In our culture, if you were to make the mistake, right, of fathering a child, and you haven't been accepted by that family, or you haven't taken that girl or that woman into your own family, you're supposed to compensate that family for disrespecting them, because that's how precious the girl child is. That's our culture. When you're building a family and you now are taking a girl child from her family, you now also need to pay respects to that girl child's family for the fact that they protected her and they raised her up so that she can be a wholesome contributor into your family. She can now be the matriarch that is, I guess, responsible for your bloodline's continuation. That's it. That's the reason why there's lobola and all of these things. All of every single part of our culture, right, as African people, honors and respects women and motherhood. Every single aspect. So every single accusation that they're making about black men is a fallacy. It's a complete fallacy. The criminalization of black men, right? The criminalization of black men was perpetuated so that we could be enslaved as black people as a whole. It wasn't created so that black women would feel that black men have been subjugating them throughout their history. And now these Western slave masters are now going to free them into perpetual servitude of whiteness. That is it. We were let down. And I need to correct myself because I said something wrong on the Backroom podcast when I was there. In 1956, with that...
The Women's March.
We were let down because the women that were marching there, our grandmothers.
Great-grandmothers.
My mother was...
1956.
My mother was born in 57. My mother was born in 57.
My mother was born in 58.
Yeah, it's our grandmothers.
Yeah, it's our grandmothers and great-grandmothers.
Well...
It's both.
No. I wouldn't say. Our great-grandmothers couldn't have been working in the houses.
Because if they were marching in 56, they were birthing our mothers.
Yeah,
or
they were young.
Birthing our mothers.
They were young. And if they were working in 56, they were young.
Okay.
They weren't old ladies that were working in houses.
So I'd say
then.
great-grandmother if we're 2000.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm at 2000, your great-grandmothers.
That's why I say both, to cover that audience as well.
So they weren't the most literate. They weren't the most educated, right? And they were subjugated by colonialism. And they'd just, finished the first 8 years of apartheid before they did that march. First 8 years of apartheid. You understand? So maybe 2 presidential terms of apartheid administration. They were in apartheid in phase 2 of its governance. So they weren't the best people to fight for progressive rights for black people? For two reasons. They were women as well. So they're not even the heads of these black households. So they take the women who they've forced into abandonment because they took their husbands away from them and put them in the mines and underground, kilometers in the ground and wherever, in the farms and everything else, doing that hard back-breaking labor that made sure that they never live past 60. They never retire. You know what I mean? They die before their retirement age, and therefore they earn less pension than they should. You know what I mean? Their pension ends up being their funeral plan, you know? Those were the women that they took. And they took them with their bosses, the bosses with evil intentions. And they took them with their bosses to make this march, and their bosses were setting them a trap. Because 2 years after they marched for the abolishment of these pass rules, the Act for the enforcement of reference book rules was then passed. There was no protest when that act was passed. They protested to stop that act from being passed. Once it was passed, there was no protest. What was the protest for? Was to show them that, hey, you need to pass this act quickly. They were set up for a trap. And now this trap is set, and there's no reflective analysis of the history of Women's Day. No one ever actually says, okay, let's actually analyze how we got to having a Women's Day. We got to having a Women's Day, right? Because we needed to criminalize the black man. That is it. So we have a Women's Day to say we're celebrating South African women who fought for liberation of who? Themselves. From who? Black men. That is what we're fighting for. That is what all these campaigns are for. And then when you now reflectively analyze this attack on black men from our sisters, you see that these sisters are not acting out of, their own, volition. No, they've been programmed. From that day onwards, when those women were forced to march for the abandonment of their own children so they can carry white babies on their backs, it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing that we know in our history. I never personally experienced it, but I personally witnessed it. I witnessed it. I went to school, right, with kids who were staying in in the staff quarters of where their mothers worked. And they were the same age as the white kids. And we all went to primary school together. And once the kids reached high school age, they had to be sent back to their grandmothers and sent back to whatever township school they need to go to, because now they were too big. And now you can't have a 14-year-old black boy in your house now, around your little lily white daughters. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I got to see it, and I got to see that, damn, the only reason why I'm still here in the suburbs is because I've got black parents that live in the suburbs. I'd have been shipped out as a black boy. So imagine being shipped out of the workplace where maybe you can see your wife because she works in Emakishin somewhere, you know what I mean? And now you decide, okay, I can work in the garden and everything else. Now you can see one another, you can visit her for lunch, or she can even make you lunch, you can visit. Now you're completely removed from that situation altogether. When you go to the suburbs, it's the preserve of black women. Every single suburb knows the feet of black women. They are the ones who walk up and down, walk to Spa, walk with the kids, walk with the dogs, walk with... Very few black men end up in those spaces. Only those that they know that this one will not pose a threat, this one will not act violently. The ones that will not fight them or will not challenge them, will not oppose them, those are the ones that are allowed to maybe do their gardens. You know what I mean? And if they can find them from outside of South Africa who've got no attachment to this country and don't feel dispossessed or displaced or don't feel subjugated in any way, you know what I mean? They're more willing to comply with orders from their white bosses. Then that is a situation that you start to see. But as far as seeing black guys just going up and down in the suburbs, you didn't see that. You didn't see that. You rarely saw it. If there was a black guy walking up and down the side, you knew that he worked in someone's garden. And you can't do the garden every day, right? So therefore, one gardener will do how many gardens? Exactly. You do the house each and every single day. So the maid belongs to the house, that household. The gardener, he belongs to the suburb or the street. Maybe he does various gardens in this house, in this street. You know what I mean? On this day, he's on this day, and this, and then he's shipped off. Or maybe someone gives him a Wendy house at the back, you know what I mean, next to the dog kennel, so he can stay there. I mean, you have to put him somewhere.
And they used to do that. Hey, Ngamla. Hey.
This is what we saw. So visually, right, you are seeing it as a black girl child. You're seeing the position of the black man. You're seeing he's outside with the dogs. You know what I mean? Not allowed. Bad. He's in jail. He's on the news. Wanted. Right? That's the position of a black man. So what is the black girl child supposed to see when she sees a black man? Danger. Danger. You know what I mean? Unless it's her dad. And even if it's her dad, she's supposed to assume that there's a risk of danger. So there's no black man she can trust. From the moment she's born, the media is programming her, the school books are programming her, the society that she looks at when she goes outside is programming her. There is no black man you can trust. What we're seeing is that we've got the most, I guess, overexposed generation of women, and yet they're the most willfully ignorant. Those women that were marching in 56 didn't know better. They couldn't have known better. The women that are ranting on social media, on TikTok, they should know better. They do know better. They have read books. There was a book that got recently released, and I think that we need to speak to the gentleman about how the black boy child is hated. And I know the black boy child is hated because I've felt the black boy child's hatred. I've experienced it my entire life. My entire life, I know that I'll be the most hated wherever I am. You know what I mean? I need to either speak very well, be very smart, be very fast, you know what I mean? Be very good at soccer, rugby, cricket or something. So at least there's some good thing that can come out of this black boy. You know what I mean? I need to show high potential to overcome my black boyness. Because my black boyness is my biggest disadvantage. It's my biggest disadvantage. It's the thing that keeps me locked out of doors. It keeps me on the outside of the house. It's the one that makes women lock doors when I walk past. You know what I mean? You feel that. You feel that. You know what I mean? It's the one that makes women say, hey. And you're like, I wasn't even going to shell her. I wasn't even going to speak to her. I wasn't even going to say anything to this woman. Why is she like, how? Wang Suela? You know what I mean? But you get that. You know what I mean? Or it's the same black boyness that when I want to give a black woman assistance in parking, I think twice because I'm a black boy. You know what I mean? She might assume I don't have the purest intentions. So let me rather assume she might not need help unless she asks for it directly. And even when she asks for help, I need to consider, is she genuinely asking for help, or is this some sort of prank or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is this not a trap? Is not a setup? That's how fragile our position is in society. You understand what I'm saying? At any point in time, you can make one mistake that will put you where black boys are supposed to be put, which is in prison, right? Right? Isn't that where we're supposed to end up? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm seeing from this response and this reaction. And for me, like, what really disappoints me is that our educated sisters, our knowledgeable sisters, right? At any point in time where a black boy can be admonished, berated, destroyed, they jump at that. They jump at that. You know? They jump at that. It doesn't matter who it is that is trying to undermine this black boy's ambitions. Doesn't matter. As long as we're bringing down a black boy, let's not even interrogate why. Let us just do it. We'll apologize later. In fact, we will not even take accountability. We're allergic to that. You know? So I felt this. I felt the hatred that has been spewed out at Nandi for her comments. I felt the hatred that's been spewed out at me. Like, from black women especially. A lot of black women. You know what I mean?
You, I would understand, because sometimes when you write about black women, you swear at them online. Why do you do that, Nota?
I don't believe that people deserve to be treated as victims. And I believe that there's no one I've ever sworn at unprovoked. I swear back. And the type of abuse that I've received from my sisters, right, is something I could never return. Even if I were to swear at them in the most vile way, the amount of evil that they've done to me is something I could never return. I can't bring myself down to their level. So when I swear at them or give them a little taste of their medicine, it's just a little poke. It's to say, this is flesh and blood. This is human. You will get a response. And you won't like your response. You can't take the response. I've been taking the response. I've been taking it. If I give you just a little taste of what I take, in a day, you will cry. And you cry. And I saw the cries. I saw a post, because, some people might know or might not know, I'm in the middle of a very taxing legal battle. You know what I mean?
What they did to Tak as well was not nice. Sorry about that. I just thought of it. Almost destroyed the young man's life. Eh?
Imagine.
Anyway, sorry.
It destroyed his bank balance. Those lawyers cost him a lot of money. And you're not going to get back that money. Trust me. You're not going to get back the money that you think that you lost in deals. Those deals are never going to come because our black sisters don't like us. They don't like us. You see it in the marketing campaigns, the brand managers and everything else. It's all black women. But the way the black man is portrayed on our media, how can our sisters be in those boardrooms and creative direct our destruction? How can they do that? How can they do that? How dare they? You understand what I'm saying? That is their industry as black women. And to think all of those black women are in those positions because black men fought, died, so that our sisters can have better. Our fathers fought and died so that our sisters could have better. We put ourselves on the line so that our sisters, our siblings, can have better. There is no man that will allow his daughter to suffer if he can do something to intervene. No good man who can do that. You know what I mean? There's no good man who can do that. And there are so many good men who are intervening and ensuring that they protect their daughters, they protect the girl children, they protect their sisters, they protect their mothers, they provide. And we get no compassion from these black women at all. Like, I was having a word with another friend of mine. I'm not going to mention his name, but or where he works, but he works in the TV production space. They do TV shows. And he's saying that our sisters who are in commissioning, editing offices and everything else, they don't put black male-owned production houses on. If there's a black production, it needs to be female or there needs to be females involved. But if it's just black brothers, and let's say they're working together and they've had a good working relationship themselves, they never had any women that they work with, it's already risky to work with women. It's risky. It's risky. Jason Derulo said he'll never, ever, ever work anywhere near a woman, especially a black woman. And it's sad that he says especially black women. You understand what I'm saying? It's very risky. So you want to assume that risk, right? And then you are still locking black men out of opportunities, yet you want money out of black men. So basically you're saying that this brother must not provide for whichever sister he's seeing or who he's taking care of, or his mother, or his siblings.
Or his children.
That's what we're getting from our sisters. That's the level of hatred that we're getting in every sphere, in every perspective. And when black women are elevated and put in positions, the brothers clap. Oh, we clap for our sisters. Oh, we clap for our sisters. I was saying this in a debate, that there is no black woman that is anywhere without a black man having put her there. Nowhere. Nowhere. If there's a white man that needs to elevate a black woman, he's either doing so to undermine a black man, or he's doing that because a black man made a sacrifice to force him to do that. Those are the only reasons why white men will ever uplift black women. Those are the only two reasons. It's to undermine black men prove that black men are useless, they can't take care of you or whatever, or because, some black man died somewhere. And now, because we need diversity, inclusion, let's have black women. Because a black man died. So that black man's life now uplifts these black women into these positions of prominence. And what do our sisters do to pay us back? They kill us. If they don't kill us physically, they force us into suicide, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to say, do not recreate. That's forced suicide, because now your genes, your progeny is now cut off. You understand? There's no more Liobegankosis that can come from you, because now you've decided that, no, I'm not having children, I'm not seeing any women, I'm not, expanding my family because it's just too toxic or whatever. And they're killing us as a civilization. We don't have trust in our families because there's choice assorted. Too many choice assorted. The reason for choice assorted is disrespecting of black fathers. There's no woman that respects her father that will allow any and every man to father her children. Or many men to father her children. Why is that rebellion happening? Because there is a disrespect for the father figure of the family. Because you know that if you've got a father figure, it means you're part of a bloodline. A bloodline is carried through, by having certain customs, like marriage, building families, etc., loyalty to whoever you're married to, and all of those types of things. Our sisters have complete disregard for that. So what have they lost? They've lost their innocence. They've lost the reason why we respect them, why we praise them. Yet the demand for that respect is still there. And when they don't get that respect that they don't deserve, they then lash out. And they're lashing out against people who like seeing them and lashing out and saying, but you don't deserve this respect that you're actually demanding from us. Because everything you say about us, right, is bad. You don't see us as human beings. You see us as tools that can be used. You see us as stepladders. You understand? You see us as accessories. You see us as ATMs. You see us as anything but human. So why should we, if we're not human, see humanity in you, which you will never see in us? Not that we don't see humanity in you. No. You want us to see humanity in you, which you will never, as in not come to a point where now you've awakened your mind and now you are now a sensible person. You will never give us that humanity. You have dehumanized us to that point. That is the point that we're at with black women as black men. There is nothing good that comes of black women as black men. The only loyalty we have to black women is because they're black and they're our people. You understand? That's the only loyalty. We cannot give up on them. We cannot say, no, let's let black women self-destruct and do whatever it is that they want. It's fine. They'll marry white men. White men in population are shrinking. You understand? So even if white men were to save all our sisters and from whatever subjugation they're feeling from us, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Since they need to educate me on that because I haven't experienced it. Whatever subjugation that they need liberation from, that they're going to find in white men and everything else, cannot materialize for the majority of them. It won't materialize for the majority of them. So what you are saying is that as women as a whole, you'd rather a few of you are elevated into positions where you are not subjugated, while most of you suffer. And the only reason that you don't see anything wrong with most of you suffering is because you also don't love black women. The same thing that makes you hate black men is the same thing that makes you hate black women. That makes you hate yourselves. There is no initiative. And I don't want my words to be misinterpreted. There is no initiative by black women, founded by black women. Nothing. At all. You can say our sisters are dominating in music. That music initiative is black boys. Especially black boys from the township. The worst kind.
No, there is Women Development Bank doing really well. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of movements that have been started by women that are thriving.
The mere fact that it's a bank, it's not a woman's. I'm talking about establishing everything, like from ground up, from start to finish. There is nothing that is established by women in society, in the world. In the world. There's nothing that is established by women. Everything is man-made in the world, right? Everything is man-made. Now, even with that, right? With everything being man-made, right? It's also man-made for women. There's things that are man-made for women. Man-made for women. Now, when I'm talking about black women, right? There is nothing that is black woman made for black women. So anything that they want to claim as something that, yes, we can now claim seniority or superiority because we're the heads of this or heads of what, you're the heads of dysfunctional households, you're, the heads of all the manner of dysfunctions in our society. It's nothing to be proud of. It's not something you can take pride in. So there is no reason for this black woman pride that puts them above black men. There's no reason for it. We should be on a level playing field as subjugated black people across the globe. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter where you're from. There is no black person that hasn't felt subjugation or hasn't had it in their, bloodline somewhere at some point in time. So why is it that we're having this adversarial relationship? It's because the black women need to create a fallacy of victimhood, right? From black men. Like they're victims to black men. That's the fallacy that they're creating. Not that black people are victims of colonialism and apartheid and subjugation and mass murder, genocide, and industrial scale sexual assault, breeding, all of those things. You know what I mean? Black kids were bred. Black people were bred, mixed together with other races and everything else, like a lab experiment. That's what happened to black people. What's happening in the Epstein files, that's been happening to us for 600 years. It's been happening to us, all of us, as black people. You understand? And we've been fighting against that this whole entire time as black people. And the people that it was their responsibility to fight the hardest is black men. And black men have overcome a lot. We've overcome colonialism. We've overcome apartheid in South Africa. We've got new problems and other problems that are manifesting. But we cannot even be given that, like, you guys fought that fight. You fought the same fight that your grandparents were fighting, your great-grandparents were fighting, your great-grandparents of their great-grandparents before them were fighting. You fought that fight, and through all these generations of being decimated, being genocided, being miseducated, being sabotaged, you guys are still here. You guys have still made it through a lot. You know what I mean? Wow. So, to give black women some grace, I didn't say this to you. I wasn't speaking to you, but I did say this on another podcast, so I'm repeating a story. I had lunch with my sister 3 weeks ago. And she just said, yo, Samulo, you've been through a lot over the past couple of years, man. You are really a champ. Like, yo, you've really fought. You know what I mean? And obviously I expect my sister to see. You know what I mean? But for her to acknowledge it, you know what I mean, was something I didn't expect. You know what I mean? It's like I expected to know that, yo, things are tough or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm her sibling, so she'll know that, oh, no, my brother might be going through a little rough patch or tough patch and, I'd expect her to empathize with me without us having to speak about it. I mean, even when my sister was going through a rough patch, I can sense that, yo, you know what I mean? Are you good? You know, what's happening? You know? And that little bit of grace, that little bit of, I'm proud of you, of the progress that you're making. I'm proud that, no matter what challenge is thrown at you, no matter what people do to try and destroy you, you still show up, you're still optimistic, you still got plans, you know what I mean? All these challenges that you have and everything else, you still have a way to figure it out. Like my sister, when she calls me about her problems, I'm always solutions-based. Okay, how can we figure it out? You know what I mean? And she just wants to talk. So like sometimes I'll cut off the conversation. I'm like, no, do this. She's like, no, I just want to explain, what's going on. I just want to talk. You know what I mean? I don't want a solution for my problem. I don't deal with things in the same way. I want solutions for my problem. So even when she calls me and she asks me about my challenges, you know what I mean? Each and every single time she hears me say, yo, no, don't worry about it. I've got a plan for this. I've got a plan for this. Okay, this challenge came up. She's like, I've never heard you say you don't have a plan. And obviously I learned that from my dad. You know, because that man always has a plan. He always has to make a plan. You know, you're a dad, so I don't need to remind you. I don't need to remind you.
Nando, start ukubulawa school fees manje ngoJanuary. You had to make a plan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, apparently there's some decent schools for 100,000 rand a year.
Imagine the word decent for 100,000.
No, that's a decent price.
100,000. Ke anaconda dadeng 100,000 me bra. Oh what? Zake baso 100,000. Me bra. Ke anaconda dadeng.
So yeah, no, I saw that. No, someone was posting. There was an article saying, no, there's a reasonably priced school. The school fees are
100,000
rands a year. I was like, what? That's what I was paying for school fees when I was going to school, and I was in private. Like, that's ridiculous. Like a public school for 98,000. There's a public school for 98,000 a year, like a good level. It must be a public private or something like that. But that is how much people are paying. Like, how much is a normal primary school like nowadays? Like
parents are paying normal cheaper.
Yeah,
private,
decent,
public.
Decent, like maybe
decent. Maybe parents are paying anything between 3 to 5 grand a month for a decent one. Yes, but 5,000 a month.
Justice.
And then get 14 ingozete singamleni or whatever they gela lezi. Meaning ngozemqale high school this year. Baye basitshela kahle but unyaka na uqala nje. Funeka clip. So a purumaka plan, as you're saying, your dad had to make a plan. Man has to make a plan.
He has to make a plan.
So we don't go and leave. We go crazy. We have to go panding up and down. Panda
Fundani. Like, please study. You know what I mean? Some of us were lucky there were bursaries back in my day. I don't know if there's bursaries for primary and high school these days. You know what I mean? So like,
I don't know.
Just imagine.
But I think high school, there might be some companies
without
who take kids from high school.
Without Ibazar, where would we be, some of us? Where would our English be? Where would our opportunities be? You understand what I'm saying? Like, we were given these opportunities to go to school with these white kids and compete at the same level as them, be on the same level playing field as them because of these bursaries. So without these bursaries, we'd also be lost. You know, we'd be a lost generation. So this new generation, especially of our sisters, you know, they need to pull up their socks. They need to join the struggle because our liberation is not going to happen in isolation as black men, you know, without our sisters taking part. You know?
What's the solution? How do we fix this tension that exists between us and our sisters?
We need to fight the enemy. We need to have one enemy. The thing is that we're being distracted. We're fighting ghosts, things that don't exist, apparitions, like patriarchy in black culture. You understand what I'm saying? That's what we're fighting. That's not what we should be fighting. We should be fighting imperialism, neoliberalism, the things that are keeping us poor, that are keeping all people poor, the real enemies, the Western hegemony. That's what we should be fighting. We should be fighting Israel. We shouldn't be drinking their water or their Kool-Aid.
That video posted last week. That's why kumele si-isolate Israel. That video lana posted. Now bezwa basho lento lezi from the horse's mouth.
And they're saying it in English, they're not even hiding themselves.
Abasayifihli hiding anymore.
It's right out
actually,
in the
a lot of stuff ngathi manje sebakhathele ukufihla seziyaphuma. Even lama file ukuthi Jeffrey Epstein into engizibonayo la uthi hayi Nota.
Imagine.
Ayibakhohlakela abanye abantu la emhlabeni.
But which people? It's the same people. It's the same people abayenza inkohlakalo over and over again, and yet our black sisters want to fight us. And not those people. Those are the people we should be fighting. Hlukana ne-Moroccan oil. Yes, Israel. I need to bafaka my weave, so they need the Moroccan oil. Hey, beswateng ama Moroccan oil pelanat. In fact, a whole lot of hair products are made in Israel. A whole lot of hair. I know this. I've bought them. And I check the labels myself. So I'm like, I boycott those people. Hurt them in their pockets. Hurt them in the pockets. Show them that this genocide that they're doing, right, is something that we are not going to accept. Because you can see that white women are useless. White women are weak. They killed a white woman protesting against ICE. And no white women are starting a white women's lives matter movement. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
No, it's-
I'm just saying.
Wait,
I'm just saying.
women's
George
lives.
Floyd was killed. Black Lives Matter started. You know what I mean? There's a
don't know
movement.
what
There's a response.
To white
You're
women's
not just gonna
lives
take down.
matter.
I'm just saying. Like, Karen. We thought no, the Karens are gonna come out. You know, there's no way. The Karens are keeping quiet. Okay, let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein Gangan. The Karens are not saying anything about the white girls that were being abused. The little white girls that were being abused by Jeffrey Epstein and his friends.
The lady who was staying in Australia, who sadly passed recently, she had a kill switch.
Well, I heard that we can't trust that kill switch or whatever, but
You think it's AI?
she's not alive to speak for herself. But Melinda French Gates is. Melinda French Gates, you cannot get away with saying, I divorced that man. No. No, 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 no. That is not enough. That is not enough. Divorcing Bill Gates, you divorced who was once the richest man in the world. That's a big paycheck for you. Like, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. You divorced him. You didn't send him to prison. You didn't provide evidence to the FBI. You knew what was going on the island because that's why you divorced him and you wanted to be away from, the blast radius of the nuclear bomb when it goes off. You preserved yourself and now you're laundering his reputation by making yourself a victim of him. How were you the victim when you were his wife? You understand? And you jumped at the chance to be his wife. You jumped at the chance to be his wife so much that you told him that he doesn't need to break up with his ex-girlfriend. He can see her once a week, every month. That's how much you wanted to be his wife. You're willing to you can have girlfriends, you can go to Epstein Island, you can do whatever you want, Bill. You can do whatever you like. Just, make sure that you don't catch anything. And the only thing that he did wrong was he caught something. And now he needed to give her antibiotics without telling her. So he had one lie. That's the only lie he told her. Everything else, she was complicit. He's discussing depopulating the earth. They were married. He's discussing pandemic preparation. The pandemic happened. They were married. He's discussing vaccinating African women, especially in Nigeria, so that they don't have as many kids. Because like Nota told you, when he told you that black women have got the childbearing genes that white women don't have, and as I told you, that's science, it's facts. Bill Gates knows that. And Bill Gates is coming for that. That little advantage that we have as black people, that our mothers have to progenate, you understand? That's what he's coming for. He's coming for our progeny. That is the only thing that a man cares for in his life, his progeny. His progeny. They're coming for the only thing that the black man has left. His progeny. The evidence of his existence. The fact that he's got a lineage. His progeny. That is it. The most important legacy any man can have. His progeny. That's what Bill Gates is coming for. And guess who was there every step of the way? Melinda French Gates. The Bill and Melinda Foundation. If she was so embarrassed about the things that they were doing, why did she force him to put her name on the foundation? Why must it be the Bill and Melinda Foundation? So therefore, Bill and Melinda, you are jointly, severally responsible for everything that happened on that Epstein Island in community of property. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't want to hear anything from Melinda French Gates other than she is ensuring that there's justice for each and every single victim. She's got the billions for it. She's got many more millions than there are victims. You understand what I'm saying? She could give each and every single one of the victims tens of millions and not run out of millions and still have billions. That's how much money she's got. And where does that money come from? From all of those abuses that were happening on the Epstein Island. That is the truth of the matter. We spoke about this in 2023 before I left for the States. And I said, we cannot be subjugated for the fact that our mothers used to work on Excel and Word and make PowerPoint presentations. There's no ways. There's no ways. as an entire planet. One guy, because he made Microsoft Word, he must control how everything works all over the world. He must tell people in Kenya how they must have babies. He must tell them, no, you cannot have babies for 8 years because we're giving you a pill that's going to stop you from having kids for 8 years. A woman that can't have kids for 8 years, what is she doing in life? She's acting against her own biological, instincts. She's acting against her biology. It's going to send her directly into depression. That is the one way to ensure that we have as many female suicide numbers as we have male suicide numbers. How many women, the biggest shame is them being called barren, unable to reproduce. That's their biggest pride, as well as women, is the fact that they've got, reproductive abilities. So he's taking away reproductive abilities from women in Kenya after doing it in Nigeria with his vaccinations. You know what I mean? After doing it for most of the world. After missing with this virus that was supposed to kill all our elderly people. We're supposed to be only left with young people. We're supposed to be left with no ancestors, no grandmothers. We're supposed to be left with parents. No, with no parents whatsoever. That vaccine was supposed to kill, right? Remember what Bill Gates said at the beginning of the pandemic? It's going to kill how many people in Africa? And it's going to kill them. That man was coming for our parents directly, live and direct. That guy went on MSNBC, CNN. He went on every single left-leaning news channel to execute the plan that he hatched up with Jeffrey Epstein on that island. Right? That was the plan. He went and did that pandemic preparation plan. He also then paid the Dutch authorities to have the lawyer that brought the case against him. Remember I said that there's a case against him in Holland at The Hague? Yes, that lawyer that brought the case, the prosecutor, has been arrested. Sexual assault charges. Just sprang up out of nowhere. It's crazy. It's insane. So Bill Gates, Melinda French Gates, anyone in their orbit, anyone they've ever endorsed, anyone they've ever sponsored and everything else are all part of that Epstein mess. And we need anyone that's ever accepted Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation money to speak up against what happened on that island and to speak up for justice, especially for the child victims. Because that's the one thing that is forgotten, is that it's not women that were being abused, it's children. It's the biggest victims of abuse in the world. The number one victims of abuse in the world are children. Why is there no anti-child abuse campaign in the world anywhere? Anywhere. There's anti-women abuse, anti-Asian abuse, anti-trans abuse, anti-LGBT or LGB abuse, anti-everything except for anti-child abuse. The only organization I know is the anti-child labor movement. But even that is ineffective because when I look at videos in Congo, I don't see any adults working for that cobalt, and I see Teslas driving. I see iPhones being bought in numbers. I see the new iPhone is everywhere now. Everybody got a new iPhone. They don't care about the babies in Congo that need to now risk their lives to get that battery for your iPhone, even though you can update your software and be up to date with the latest standards on iPhone. You know what I mean?
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funds various health, sanitation, and development initiatives in South Africa, right? Key organizations and initiatives funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in South Africa. The Solidarity Fund, the Department of Science and Technology.
Which one? The one that wanted to cancel AGOA?
I'm reading on Google.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but which Solidarity Fund?
This Solidarity Fund, they just wrote Solidarity Fund. They didn't mention which one. They're saying they received, they've been receiving support and expertise even during the COVID-19 pandemic. They were receiving funds for assisting. Okay, let me continue. The Department of Science and Technology, the University of Cape Town, Gauteng Partnership for Grassroots AIDS Action, the Positive Women's Network, the AIDS Counseling, Care and Training, Township AIDS Project, Social Change Assistance Trust, South African Education Project, the Aspen Pharma Care. And the list goes on, bro.
The same Department of Science and Technology that now wants to put low Earth orbits in the sky, low Earth orbiting satellites in the sky to create our own South African state-owned Starlink. It seems like Bill Gates might be shorting Starlink by doing that.
Seems like the elites as well are sort of. Seems like the elites as well are sort of turning against Bill, and I think that time is nearing where he's about to take the fall.
He was at the World Economic Forum.
Oh, was he there?
There's no way he can take a fall. He made Excel. You still use spreadsheets. How can he take a fall? You understand what I'm saying?
But you do know it wasn't just Gates. You know he was sent. You know he was the runaround boy for the big guys.
I wouldn't say so. I think that he's a big kid.
He is a big kid with big money, but there's bigger boys.
No. As in, he's a child of a big guy.
No. Itama like he was responsible for eugenics, right?
Yes.
You do know that.
Yes, I know. He's the guy that funded Margaret Sanger and all
Yeah. Oh, and you're Muslim. I'm talking to
Muslims.
Margaret Sanger. Anyway.
I know where the entire progeny of evil.
What he's carrying out is something that his father has always wanted to do.
But his grandfather wanted to do it.
His father was doing it.
His ancestors were doing it. Transhumanism as well. They're all in on it. So I don't buy the reptilian lies of Melinda French Gates. She's on every Shade Room. Shade Room is posting her. Anything that's posted on Shade Room is paid for. We know that. She's paying Shade Room to post her. She's sanitizing herself in front of black people, in front of TMZ, in the gossip blogs, confusing the thing, making herself look like a victim. When they're actual real victims, she's taking up all the oxygen, all the media. When there's actual real victims. Imagine. You understand what I'm saying? Imagine. That's why it's no surprise that the Epstein Island things were happening in Cape Town, because Cape Town is not our country. It's a foreign country where foreigners do what they want and they please over there in Cape Town. You understand? That's why they can do Epstein Island stuff, Bird Island type stuff over there.
Yo, you know about the Bird Island stuff?
I know the Lost Boys of Bird Island.
Is that book? The book is still out of the market.
It doesn't matter that the book is out of the market. The Epstein files have been released. The truth is going to come out. The truth is going to come out. You understand what I'm saying?
And by the way, guys, that's not Natim Teto on that plane.
With a gap tooth.
May his soul rest in peace. That was not Bab Natim Teto on that plane.
The gap tooth is for the Ndebeles. Abu Kidex. No, you'll hear. It's like...
Don't lose your train of thought. So, let's finish this topic.
No. I mean, I'm done with that train of thoughts.
Okay,
I think
cool.
that I want to leave it to people to actually analyze what's going on there, because as South Africans, we need to now look at what is happening in South Africa and who's responsible for what's happening in South Africa. Right? Epstein gave us everything we need to know. Israel is behind all our torment, all our misery. That's what they're trying to do. Israel was behind our torment during apartheid. They're the ones that helped the apartheid government, manufacture weapons. You know what I mean? Do all the experiments that they needed to do. You know what I mean? So we know who our enemy is. That's the enemy that we need to be fighting as black people. Only we can fight that enemy, because anyone else fighting that enemy might see that enemy as a friend.
By the way, before you finish this topic, and they're saying there's more files coming.
Imagine.
When I heard this video, my heart was...
But how do you feel now? Because, maybe if this came out 6 years ago, Ingoshako is small.
Yeah.
You don't have that responsibility. She's starting high school. There's no way.
Now already, that's why I'm about to play you a video that I'm saying, out of all these files and these videos and all the stuff that's being said about that, this video literally disgusted me. Ukuthi siphila neyikhohlakali kulo mhlaba labantu bakhohlakele
too much
bakhohlakele ikhohlakali labantu abosathana uqobo lwabo. Listen to this video. I've never heard something like this in my life. You're going to be disgusted.
done it with Papa. The first time when we had done it, we had feared so much.
When you did what?
When you killed a baby, first time. And
You killed the babies?
Yes.
You yourself?
With Papa. Papa holding my hand. He helped me. But he told me to cut the baby's head off. But he forced me to. I couldn't.
He held your hands?
He held my hand. Yes.
Like what? Show me.
So this is my hand on the knife. He put his big hand on and he pushed my hand and then cut off the head. Like that. And then when we got older, we got more used to it. But then we understood that when my mum found out about it, she told me that it's wrong to do this kind of stuff. So then but then me and Gabriel had still been used to it, but then we had understood that it's wrong.
And so, what your decision is?
And then our decision, we had still a lot of fear in our head, but then when we read a book called June, it said that fear is the mind killer. So when we heard that, we thought that it was true. It was not really true. But then after, there was a man called Abraham who came to help us. He said that it is true, that fear is the mind killer. And then after, he said we had to face our fear. So then after we faced our fear,
Look in the camera. Camera is here.
and then we after,
Camera is here. This
and
way.
then after we faced our fear.
So what you decided?
And we
Here, Gabriel.
decided that we should stop. Or then we should
Come, Gabriel, come closer to it.
The first time when we ever done it.
So I did not play the rest of the video. Anyway, she then they ask her where was it happening. She talks about secret underground dungeons, right? And this video, it came out with the Epstein Island videos, but apparently this, what they're saying here, it's controversial.
Those boys, no,
Queen yakho le. England.
Oh, okay, I see Queen Yam. But I'm a judge.
Baze babulalisa nabantu incosi.
No.
Bafundisa incosi ukubulala.
Hamo judge is not our home, ne?
Labantu laba babreeda incosi. Aye guys, no. Anyway, let's move on from
Yeah,
this
so
topic.
Hamo judge is not our home, ne? But we ended up there because of colonial fights and, the displacement in the Baloyi royal household. So we ended up living Hamujaj. So the legend is that if you were tall, like a tall man, and there was too much drought, they used to sacrifice. They used to do human sacrifice in Bulubedu. That was
In Bulubedu?
Yes. As in, that was the sacrifice. And they took
Human
the tallest
sacrifice?
Man, the tallest man would be, that's back in the day. You understand?
Okay,
And then they
okay.
stopped that practice and then they started sacrificing chickens.
But you heard about what they were saying on the Epstein files about some of the things that also happened at the Bohemian Rhapsody. Is it Bohemian
That's what I'm
Rhapsody?
saying. So
Bohemian.
in all our
I
societies,
forgot. Anyway, if you know
we
Peter
get mislived. Yeah, but I know.
sorry, continue. Sorry.
If in all our societies, we all get corrupted by evil. So there are evil practices that happen. You understand? So we know what these evil practices mean. Even us, we know. There are certain evil practices, not everyone does them. There are certain people who are evil, even amongst us in the black society, right? There are even people that are evil and that carry out these things.
Do you know what is adrenochrome?
The adrenaline infused blood. So when adrenaline is in the blood because of fear or shock or whatever the case may be, then they take the blood at that point in time.
They scare the baby.
Yeah.
They scare the baby and then the baby screams.
They
and then
traumatize.
They traumatize the baby and then they believe. Ukuthi nabayinquma ukuyinquma bakhiphe bayinquma ingane bayinquma live. But bafuna ukuliphuza lishisa legazi ngaloko akuthuka lokuyana.
With the adrenaline inside.
Adrenaline nayiphuma intuthu soul nayiphuma baliphuza same time legazi hayi bakhohlakele labantu guys.
So
Hayi.
these things
And then
happen.
there's something called Frazzle what? Leyo ukuthi bakuhluba isikhumba. Yabona lento babona
Yes.
kusifaka kuma movie kuma
Yes,
Friday the
and they turn
13th.
them into
Uthola
leather.
bakuhluba isikhumba sobuso kanje.
But they've been doing that since
Nabaqeda bafake
slavery.
lesikhumba lesi ebusweni babo kanje ba celebrate laba baye around ekubeni umuntu wakhona
All of those
ngapha
things, yes.
bamnquma and bayenza human sacrifice.
Now, these things have been happening here in Africa, being done in isolated places by Inkohlakalizala. You understand what I'm saying? We saw some of these things happening on Shaka Ilembe, right? But was it Shaka that was doing that on a mass scale? And you can say that all the Zulu Butos are now involved in these dark practices of human sacrifices and all these demonic things. No, those demons were killed by our people for practicing such what you call satanic beliefs,
Rituals.
You understand what I'm saying? Those people were killed by people. So we condemn such things. The thing is this, is that this thing is being partaken in by the elite in white society. The top of white society, the ones who give out orders for the rest of white society to follow. You know how white society works. Né? There's the big white bosses, right? And then all the other whites, then they look up at the white god, and then the white god tells them, okay, this is our belief now. And then all of them are like robots. You know, they're not like us. Like us, you know, there's ANC blacks, there's EFF blacks, there's, you know, MK blacks, there's... Abelungu bakholelwa kuTony Leon kuphela. You understand? Like that's their only tribe. You know what I mean? They've got one tribe, so they take orders. So when things like that happen in that society, you must understand how dangerous it becomes then. Because then it means that they need to accept it. Because these are the same white people that accepted everything else. Remember when white people were being told that black people are lesser than them and then they could use these black people as slaves? Yes, those white people were at the bottom as well, right? And then they were being told that these black people are subhuman, they're animals, right? So you can use them as slaves, you can do whatever you want to them. And then even those poor white women used to beat up their black slaves and all that type of stuff, you know what I mean? And Jabu also used to get shouted at by Karen, you know what I mean? All of that stuff used to happen. Normal, right? All normal, right? Why? Because it came from the top. Those were the orders from the top. When these white people here see that at the top, because now the experience files are exposed, right? See that all the way at the top, this is what the white people, what are we expecting the white people at the bottom to do? Do you expect them to condemn it? The same white people that follow each and every single order, they were given orders, okay, subjugate black people, be evil to black human beings. Sleep with these black human beings and see that you can actually breed with them so you're the same species. Crossbreed with them, do all these number of experiments with them, do whatever you want with them, right? Do that, it's normal, it's fine. Then they change their minds because we fought against it for so long and they saw that they couldn't keep this up and we're going to kill them if they keep this up, right? Now because they're scared, okay, no, we're no longer enslaving you, but now we're going to entrap you. After entrapping, they justify that entrapment, right? Then we get civil rights and some sort of liberties, colonialism falls and everything else. Now they're like, no, you now work for us. You are at the bottom level. You know what I mean? The highest you can rise is maybe managerial level. Then we'll put you in a managerial position so you can manage all the other blacks. These are the whites. I'm just talking about the normal average white, right? They signed up for that system. They agreed to it. They loved it. They're like, oh, damn it, this system is unsustainable. We can't. So you know what? Let's vote for a system where black people can also have the right to vote. Right? Let's give them the right to vote. Let's give them equal rights in South Africa. So in 1994 or in 1992, right, the referendum was held. And then, they got the results of the referendum. The results of the referendum didn't go according to plan, so they needed to now create a result that would say, okay, no, but we got a 2/3 majority on the referendum. Why was it 2/3 majority? You tell me, if you took a camera and went to white society, right, during apartheid, do you think you would have got a 2/3 majority for people to vote against apartheid? So that referendum vote is a complete lie. We can completely disregard. 65% of white people voted yes. Nonsense. That's a lie. Because I've never met a white person that says, I voted yes. Do you hear what I'm saying? They'll tell you 65% vote, but what did you vote? They'll never tell you, I voted yes, my dad voted yes, my mother voted yes. You understand? They voted no. In the majority, right? But they couldn't tell them that, you guys voted no. So they needed to create some manufactured consent. Those are the same white people that we are expecting to condemn Jeffrey Epstein. The ones that couldn't condemn apartheid, couldn't condemn colonialism, couldn't condemn the Holocaust, couldn't condemn any of the many atrocities that they've done because it's their culture. We expect them to condemn the actions of Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Gates, and all the other baby eaters. No! We cannot accept them to condemn that. So it's up to us as black people to save humanity, the entire world, because we've got the moral authority to do so. We are not baby eaters. We're not colonizers. So the only threat to the elite is, guess what? Oh, the black man.
takes me back to the Khohlakali. It even becomes worse, Nota. They believe ukuthi abantwana babantu abamnyama yibo aba-strong because bane-melanin. But that's why kulahleka ingosi ezipaya kanje all over the world. Ziyaphi le ingosi? Because believe ukuthi nabagawula lezi zethu zisha nge-melanin strong. Bayenzani le melanin?
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to ask myself those questions. What I'm saying is that what are we doing to fight against these evil people? We know that our sisters are confused. Our sisters are fighting us. Our sisters, can you stop fighting us right now? Just for this moment, let us fight that evil. Let us fight that Satanism. Let us fight that. Help us fight that. Help us fight that, and then whatever you want after that, we can negotiate. Maybe singai kupuli girlfriend allowance or something. Something needs to be done, but we cannot allow this stain on our morality of looking the other way, because that's the attitude that you're starting to see, and it's coming from African Americans.
Which one?
This attitude of black people stay out of it.
Oh, okay, I hear you.
And that's what they want us to do. That's why they announced that, no, Jeffrey Epstein didn't want black women. Hold on. That's not a flex. That's the lack of desirability of black women. That's an indictment. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's an indictment. Because they're not saying that, no, black women were too strong-willed or whatever, because Peter Nygaard was still taking up the ovaries of black women. And they were giving their ovaries up for free, for shots of drinks. Black women are the most race-mixed of all women. So we know that black women, when it comes to being strong and being manipulatable, they're the weakest. They're at the bottom of the food chain. Why? Because of the brutality that was meted out on black men. Their defense force. Their defense force was eliminated completely over hundreds of years. It took hundreds of years to leave black women defenseless, to put them in that position that they're in. So as defenseless as they are, they should never, ever assume that because Jeffrey Epstein and them did not want them for their little sick science projects, that that means that, you know, there's something redeeming about them. No, but they're still at the bottom of the food chain.
But biologically, you know they're the strongest, right?
No, I know the strength of our people, all of us.
Black,
I know
yes. No, there's something specifically the black woman.
Yes,
do you know
Eve.
That's the most power? That's Eve.
That's Eve.
They've got that Eve gene.
Now
they gave birth to the whole world, bro.
So that's why Peter Nygaard wants their ovaries. Do you understand what I'm saying? But in terms of the social hierarchy, they're standing. They're at the bottom. That exclusion of them in those Epstein things is his racism, personally, as an individual. Right? Their usefulness to these programs is still there. So that's the thing, is that it's a trick on like, oh no, they didn't want black women, and then now we think, oh no, black women are safe. No. You're the most in danger. You're the most wanted. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're the most wanted. That's why they're doing the most to destroy your defense system, which is the black man. Your wall of defense is being destroyed every step of the way. Why? Because that's how valuable you are. They won't just come for you directly. They need to make sure that when they come for you, no one's going to come for them. They need to make sure that there are no black men left to reclaim the black sisters. Do you understand what I'm saying? We are in South Africa. In South Africa, there's no bring back our girls. This is not Nigeria. You understand what I'm saying? Tina, we will fight for our sisters' dignity. We will not allow our sisters to be undignified. Do you understand what I'm saying? No matter what disputes we have with our sisters, you don't see videos trending on TikTok, on Facebook of men trying to dehumanize South African black women. That happens to them when they go to Dubai, or when other foreigners now decide to take advantage of them because they are left defenseless. It's not a South African man thing that does the atrocities that are done to our sisters that we end up seeing on the timeline. It's not. When those sisters were being taken there for whatever casting, whatever, it's not a South African. Busiso is not doing castings. You understand what I'm saying? So we need to also understand that.
No, but there was that Lepona. Mapona, is it Mapona? You remember?
No.
Oh, that was porn.
You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's not a random person or but he can also just give them 10K if they make porn.
And then he puts them on camera.
You understand? But taking advantage of what? Their desperation. You understand what I'm saying? That's the thing, is that as the black man, black South African man, we cannot be seen as taking advantage of our sister's desperation. We've seen little instances of it. We are seeing it right now in our nightclubs and everything else. That's why some of us, we avoid these nightclubs. We don't go there because those are places where we see our sisters being taken advantage of.
But they're saying we are also taking advantage of them because statistics say 60% of the GBV that happens, Limesans, to
It's
the black
intimate-
woman
it's
is the
intimate.
people they stay with.
It's intimate partner violence. Yes.
60% of that.
Therefore,
so which
therefore,
means ukuthi yithi esibahlukumezayo.
Therefore, they are 50% responsible for ukuhlukumezeka kwabo because of that 60%, which means 30% of ukuhlukumezeka kwabo they are responsible for. In that 60%, they're responsible for 30% of the overall ukuhlukumezeka kwabo because no self-respecting woman is going to choose to be with a man ozomhlukumeza. And people can say, no, but sometimes you don't just get to know someone and get close to the point where bangakuhlukumeza instantaneously. It doesn't happen over, you need to get to know people step by step. You have boundaries, you know what I mean? You take the first step. Someone is not supposed to be able to touch you on your skin the day they meet you. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like, that should not be normal. But you overstep these boundaries and then you allow yourself to be put in compromising positions. We need to speak to our sisters about putting themselves in compromising positions with people that they haven't vetted. You understand? Your mother tells you that your friends say a lot about who you are. So the people that you meet and you associate with and then you take pictures with and that can be called your friends say a lot about who you are. You are with this guy in the club this week. You are taking pictures. 2 years later, you find out, hey, he killed people, he's doing tender corruption and all these types of things. And then they're going to pull out his pictures of you with him in the club. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't want to be associated. So that's exactly my thing. You don't get that close that now we're taking pictures with each other in the club. We don't even know each other. Next thing, I'm being framed in some Jeffrey Epstein thing. Next thing, I'm Nati Njeto on a jet. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just
That
saying
was not Natim Teto,
yes,
by the way.
But that's the thing, is that it's a fabrication.
May soul rest in
It's a
peace.
story that's being made up about him because someone looks similar to him. And people that don't know him or can't recognize him can now make that up as a story. Now, let's say that is you now in that picture. That is you being pictured with that person who's an abuser, who's Bill Gates or who's whatever. You will now be associated with that thing because that's a real, actual picture of you with that person. Just vetting of people in general, anyone you meet, you need to vet. And therefore, these statistics should be telling us something. There should be a message in these statistics, and that is that our relationships, our intimate relationships are toxic. As a whole, in general, we need to have a school of umjolo. Jolo kanjani? You understand what I'm saying? We need to teach men how to treat women better in the relationship setting because that is where the violence is happening and that is where our sisters are feeling, physically abused the most.
No, we need to start it early from the boy child.
No, that I understand. That I'm all for. The boy child is made by the man. We start the boy child by creating his heroes. The heroes of the boy child cannot be umuntu ocula ngamanyala or someone that's not spreading a positive message into society or someone ocula inhlamba the whole entire time. That's where we start with the boy child. And that's why we call out the men that are teaching our boys the wrong example, that are leading them by the wrong example. We call out the drug dealer, Elokshin, who's coming there with his nice car and everything else, and everybody sees him in his kusheshe and thinks that he's cool. We call him out and we say, you're not going to poison our young boys. They're not going to look at you as a role model, as a hero. Do you understand? We call out our PSL stars when we see them ematlapin and the bars and everything else and saying, you're in these clubs, these young boys are looking up to you. You've got a responsibility to these young black boys. Because the position that you are in, there are men that died for that position. They had a responsibility to you, they didn't even know you. You are in that position that you're in today because there were black men that cared for you before you were even conceived, that died for you, not knowing that you'd ever be conceived, that died to ensure that you could be conceived. It would be a possibility that you could come to this world and become who you are. Do you understand? So we need to make sure that we call out all of the nonsense that we see. People call out my nonsense all the time. I get called out all the time. I invite it. I like it. You keep me honest. I'm a human being just like you.
Same here.
You understand what I'm saying? That's it. That's it. And that's the culture that we need to have so that we don't lead each other astray. You understand? We need young women to say, I give my sons to you. We need them to be able to say that I understand that there's such a programming that has happened to me, right? That I might not be in the best position to nurture a boy child into becoming a responsible man. I need role models. And therefore, I demand that whoever's going to be the father of my son needs to be a role model to my son. Do you understand what I'm saying? Needs to be a role model to my son. To this day, when I take steps, when I walk, I stride, I take big lunges. Why do I walk like that? Because when I was a kid, I used to want to match my dad's stride. So I used to jump in the mall. You know what I mean? Jump just to match my dad's footsteps. Just to see, like, no, Dad, I'm going to walk just as fast as you. To this day, I still walk fast as my dad used to walk. Because that's how my dad used to walk. Because that guy's my role model. Anything that I saw him do, I wanted to do as well. You understand what I'm saying? So it's that easy to raise the boy child. All you need to do is uplift his role models. Now, how do we fix the girl child as well? By doing the same thing. And right now, we're not providing enough positive girl or woman role models. We're not celebrating them enough. And the worst thing about it is that the young boys are also not getting the best example, because the content business also stops us from being able to influence them in the right way.
Yeah.
These types of clips where I'm saying things like this, they don't go viral.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
The clips of nonsense, they go viral. And sometimes you get so much nonsense that the nonsense is what people believe is the substance.
Yeah.
And we need to change that. You know what I mean? We need to change it by example of, like, let's also stop this thing of bringing our sisters on podcasts who should not be on podcasts.
Yeah.
Who've got nothing to be proud of. Who can only embarrass themselves on the microphone. And then we allow them to humiliate themselves for likes and content.
Yeah.
Why? Because we're putting a bad image out there of our sisters.
Yeah.
And we're flooding the space. And there's young little girls that are picking that up and thinking, oh, that's what I need to do to get attention. Oh, that's what I need to get love. Oh, that's what I need to do to get appreciation. We're not creating wholesome content for young girls to look at. We're not creating it. And it's because men cannot call out anything. So we cannot call out the destructive content that we're seeing that is being created by a lot of the women content creators. That is misandrist, you know, it's just irresponsible things are being said that women should never be saying. You understand what I'm saying? Especially when you've got a long life to live and the internet never forgets. You understand? You never want to put yourself in that position, in that light. You know, we need to return women to the pedestal that we put them in. Listen to how we speak about our mothers as black boys, as black men, unilaterally. Unilaterally. We give them all the grace in the world. Now, why is it that young girls do not want to aspire to that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Why don't they want to aspire to being at a level where they're seen like that? They should be. Because we don't have any examples of them, of that. The examples that they have is the girls that are selling their bodies, destroying their reputations, getting paid for it, then getting phased out because they get replaced. There's a new one that comes in, there's a new one that comes in, there's a new one that comes in. And what we're programming our young black boys is to look at their sisters as people that are selling their bodies. That is the image that is being created. So that's why the rhetoric online, when you see young boys talking about girls or a young woman and everything else, is so negative. It's so dehumanizing because that is the type of society that they're confronted with. It's a society where you don't have women that are protecting their own dignity. And that's where we're losing it, you know. So
sorry to disturb. We're about to run out of tape, so we have to wrap it up. We've been over 2 hours. And lastly, on a lighter note, now ngifuna just thinta le ndaba le ya maphorisa. All of a sudden I go online last week or 2 weeks ago. Ulwa no maphorisa, and you've always been ngoming on maphorisa. And what's going on between you and him?
Uthunyelwe.
I thought you guys were on good terms.
We are on good terms. We're on perfectly good terms. That's not Maphorisa that's speaking there. That is Katlego Malachi speaking. A guy that I've never done anything to, never stepped on his toe.
Who's that?
He's the guy that used to do homecoming. Homecoming picnic. Homecoming picnic.
I remember the homecoming picnic,
yes.
But also he owned it.
He was
So
part of the
what does
owners.
he do now? What's his relationship
Now
with Maporisa?
he's Maporisa's lawyer, and he's also
Oh, Baspada Bonk.
he's head of legal at Sonia at the same time.
So why would he come for you?
He wants to destroy my reputation. That's it. This guy, we used to beg him to get Questa on stage at Homecoming Picnic. He refused every single time. The only reason why Questa performed at Homecoming Picnic, the 1 year that he did, was because we were performing Do Like I Do by DJ Slick. And DJ Slick asked us to come through so we could shoot the video. When we were performing at Opi Kopi, right, headlining, when we finally got to, it's only because the white people finally got to us directly. Abu Katlejo, they were working at Hilltop Live at that point in time. They sabotaged us in every way, shape, or form. In fact, even the last song that we performed on stage, we're performing on stage in Apa, at the main stage. At the back of the stage, Glalingut, Devin Koko is playing. Why would you play Ingutu at the back of the stage, request a performer a stage and on main stage? To confuse the band. The monitors started playing the sound from that other stage while we were on stage at Opikopi. But at that point in time, the show was just so amazing. There was nothing they could have done to mess it up. You know, it didn't end on the way, you know what I mean? And if you've been wanting to be on Opikopi for your entire career, you understand what I'm saying? And you finally get that moment to do what WHP did when no one else was able to do it. You understand? You finally get that moment. You're like, yo, we got our Jabba moment. We finally reached the Jabba level. You understand what I'm saying? When you finally get to do it, black guys sabotage you. So they've got a serious problem in that they've sold themselves into a machine that they don't understand. And they're relying on improper legal advice because unless you're admitted as an attorney, you cannot be advising people legally. You understand what I'm saying? Even if you are an advocate and you've been accepted at the High Court and you're an out-of-practice advocate, you understand what I'm saying?
Like back in the day, how Graham Gilfillan, Squire, used to do.
Understand?
What's
You
up,
understand?
Squire? Where are you in this part of the world? What part of Squire?
Yeah, I think last year.
Oh, shame. I didn't know. Man. So rest in
it was
peace.
a quiet passing, but yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry to disturb you. Anyway, I just thought of Squire.
You understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
But
rest in peace, Squire. Sorry,
was
but
not
I
a
don't
black
know.
man.
I don't know, man.
Squire was not a black man. You understand what I'm saying? So now we've got black men that are working for these labels, right? That want to make Maporisa so stupid that he doesn't understand how much money he's making for the label so they can continue to exploit him and then help him exploit the artists, right? Who will then subsequently be underpaid. And when they get underpaid and disgruntled, they'll blame Maporisa and make him the evil guy. Meanwhile, Umalachi and his friends or his bosses, the people that pay him his salary, are the ones that are orchestrating all of this. So, Mina, I was giving him advice.
How sure are you that it's Mr. Malachi?
I know it's Malachi. I know. You know, I know it's him. Like I remember I gave you the example that I've given you already. He did that. Then after doing all of that, he goes to spite me because Angsa Seben's no Questa. Yeah, now he decides, no, I'm going to now represent Uquesta. And Usenzo, because he's the type of person that, I don't know, what backbone. The same person that didn't want you on stage at his own homecoming festival, you're now working with that same person. The same person that sabotaged you. And then you're allowing this person to help you sabotage the person that allowed you to put food on your plate even to this day. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. The level of Inkohlakalo. So, Upori, I forgive him because Inkohlakalo doesn't come from him. I know that doesn't come from him. Now, and Upori is not the type of person on his lung that can write a thread that long. Did you see that long thread that he posted?
No, I didn't.
He doesn't have that islung to do that. He doesn't have the English bundles to write it out as a thread. You understand what I'm saying? Even speaking, he can't speak English in a thread that's long, like unbroken. You know what I mean? So I know that that's not him. And those people are exposing themselves that it's them. So I know it's them. That's the worst part. They're exposing themselves that it's them. And they're exposing themselves in so many other levels, in so many other ways. And as a black man, to have a reputation of selling your own brothers into slavery is something you should never cherish. There's a reason why I did not take certain jobs and certain positions, because I would not be privy to the things that I'm privy to right now, and I would not be party to enslaving my own brothers. I cannot be taking a salary to enslave my brothers. You understand? My parents have done too much to put me in a position to do that. You understand what I'm saying? My parents have worked too hard. I cannot disregard the work that they've done to put us in a position where we're not desperate to the point where we're enslaving our own brothers. So that was the whole entire situation.
The Nando's.
Nando's, Leo. Nando's.
For those who don't know what happened with the Nando's
So
issue.
in Nando's went to Usenzo or Umakwa. But still look seven is the spirit. Now they've forgotten that I've already sent them emails years ago when they used Asimo Statesimo, which is they took a lyric of Spirit and they used it as their banner next door to Burger King at the Santon City Mall. There was a banner. I sent them an email. I spoke to everyone. I sent the email to Jessica. I sent it to Erica Smith. You know what I mean? So the people higher up, they know that. That's a 2023 thing. 2023. They still wanted to use the Spirit. Right? Someone spoke to me, called me, says, hey, we want to use Spirit for a campaign, but they said, no, it's for SA20. I told them, yeah, Spirit's vying a 2 meter. Tupa, Leango. Tupa. And if you're taking Spirit, you also need to put Terbucho Malope as the director because I've given him the visual aspect of this. Anytime this thing is going to be reinterpreted visually, it's going to. Also, there's a Brenda Fassie sample on that song, produced by Joe Nina. Yozo Varo. That I in every single chorus. I. It's not just the Zimbindaba at the beginning. No. It's not just the Zimbindaba at the beginning. It's every single chorus. In fact, that I is an instrument. So if you take the song as an instrumental, right? That that Brenda Fassie sample is part of the instruments. Now, on that song, 66% of the publishing goes to Spirit Chaser for an interpolation of Spirit Chaser. They don't deserve that. But because they're white people, right? The people at Downtown Music thought, let's give our white friends 66% of this song's publishing. That's not the master rights. The master rights is obviously controlled by my record company, right? Now, that 66% that they're giving 22%, right, to Brenda Fassie and Joe Nina. They are actually sampled. So Downtown Music thought the interpolation of Spirit Chaser is worth more to this song because they are white and they're from the UK than what was actually sampled. Like is actually on the song. Not the interpolation of a chord progression, which actually shouldn't entitle them to even 5% of the song. They shouldn't even get 5% of the song, right? But I'm not involved in the publishing, right? So, as a record company, it's fine. You allow the writers and everyone to take part in that. Wale is involved in that. Makwa himself is involved in that as the composer of the beat, right? Senzo's involved in that. Now, they then got these people without Brenda Fassie because they excluded her, without Joe Nina because he wasn't even credited in the beginning. You understand? That was a mistake that happened, right? And then they think that they can recreate the song, ignoring the fact that the sample was only granted on permission that any derivative works, any remixes, whatever happens, right? Brenda Fassie Estate owns 35% of that master as well, right? On top of the publishing that they share with Joe Nina. So I found out that an ad was being shot using Spirit because the people that worked on the ad, right? They know that, hey, that's BNS project, copyright. That's in Samuel. Let's call him, congratulate him. Hey, we see the new Nando's campaign. I'm like, what? I don't know anything about that. So in September, I sent a WhatsApp message to Questa's management, right? Vanessa. She sent a response on the 9th of October. She says, I know nothing. Sony is handling it. She lied to me. I know Sony was not handling it because they're not handling it, right? And they'd only be handling it on my behalf if they were to handle it on my behalf. And they weren't handling it on my behalf. Sony is handling it. And Sony would only be handling it if it was the master rights thing. I already knew that they're trying to make a replay and they're trying to get away with taking only the publishing rights, right? You can't get the publishing for a song you don't have the permission from the master right owner from. You understand? Even if I was to sing a song, a cover version, right? I still need the master rights permission to get permission to do a cover version. A cover version. Now you're remaking the song with the same people that were on the original. You understand what I'm saying? And then Abo Senzo, Nabo Marco, and everything else think they can get away with this because they're thinking to themselves, oh no, so Jemalia Publishing, which means Abo Nota Bona Ngege Bahol. So it's not Abo Nota. That's their plan. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of saying, let's tell these people that no, we still need to pay for this set of rights, this set of rights. So clean.
How do you know that was their plan?
Well, it's evidenced in their actions. And the publisher came and called me. Said, no, we only did the publishing. I said, you can't do the publishing without my permission. Without my permission. My permission
You're the
is only
master right owner.
65%.
You are a co-owner, right?
65.
Yeah.
Brenda Fassie Estate owns the other 35%. You understand? That was the agreement. So you're stealing from me. You think you're stealing from me, but you're stealing from me and my brr. Not a chance, not a chance, not a chance, not a chance. So they try to do a disinformation campaign. Imagine a Nando's Yonkers say post a statement. A Nando's Yonkers. How do they post a public statement if they're dismissing it? No, they're trying to create misinformation. Nando's, you don't have the media power of Nota. Yo, I'm bigger than Nando's, yo. Please, don't ever think you're on my level, dude. I cook without gas. You understand what I'm saying? I cook without gas. You understand? And it's still flaming. So please, don't ever think you're on that level, dog. I don't need bird's eye chili. I'm hot. Hot, hot, hot. Habanero. You don't have that. You understand? So, now when they do this little Mishra goss, they think I don't know Anish. I remember I found it in September. I sent an email, I sent a WhatsApp in October. Yo, tell me what's going down. She sends me a response to say, oh no, Sony is handling it. Then she sends me, before the ad is supposed to flight, on the 9th of November. She sent me a response on the 9th of October. A month later, I remember it because that was the day I got notification of my visa revocation, right? On the 9th of November, she sends me an email basically telling me how the deal was structured with Downtown Music. Now, Downtown, right, they're the ones who said, no, Spirit Chaser gets 66% of the song where they're not even sampled. Brenda Fassie and Joe Nina, well, they didn't know Joe Nina was involved at the time, but Brenda Fassie is supposed to get 22%. And that's when Brenda Fassie's estate publishing was handled by Downtown. Then BMW tried to make a remake of Spirit a while ago. Senzo came out on the timeline, wapapa, posting about it. Yay, how do you take these rights? What, without getting permission? Cool, then we sent the lawyers. Cool, we had to get a settlement. We got a smaller Nyana settlement, right? In that settlement, Downtown excluded Brenda Fassie's estate because Brenda Fassie's estate had now moved to Gallo. They excluded her from her 22% that she originally had when we did the Telkom deal. You understand what I'm saying? How do you do that as the publisher? And you publish everyone. Downtown publishes Senzo, they publish Wale, they publish Spirit Chaser, they published Brenda Fassie at that point in time. So you represented everybody, right? And then you misrepresented them the next time a settlement came up, knowing the original agreement for the song. Like, you've got the contract there. You've got the original agreement. Like, you know that. As Downtown, why would you do that? Then Downtown, you get told to make a replay. As Downtown, you should know that, yo, come on, David Alexander should know. He might not be dealing with that situation, but David Alexander should know that, no, we already had an issue because we already represent Senzo's publishing, so we already had an issue with samples for Ingud. You understand what I'm saying? So you've got that knowledge. We've represented him since 2011, so you should know that you've got an issue right now, that they're denying this issue. So everything that you're doing is criminal copyright infringement and fraud. That's a criminal offense, minimum 15 years. 15 years. 15 years of not being able to drop your daughter off at school. Would you risk that? You wouldn't do that. You understand what I'm saying? They took that risk. That's what they did. And then they went and lied to Nando's. So Nando's took their lies and then responded to me and said, no, we've got these lies, and these lies are the reason why we're stealing from you. You understand? Your own brothers helping to steal from you. Now, the issue is this, is that even with that 65% of the master that the record label controls, after that 65% is gotten, right? 52.5% of that goes directly to Senzo. The record label only retains 47.5% of that. So, in stealing from me, he's stolen from himself as well. You understand what I'm saying? Like, why would you do that? And you've also stolen again from Brenda Fassie as well. You understand? Who even gets a lesser share of that than you do. She gets 35%. You understand what I'm saying? So you've stolen from yourself, you've stolen from me, you've stolen from Brenda Fassie, you've stolen from Jonina. You didn't know that, right? And now, after all of that happens, you try to have backdoor conversations to try and circumvent me. Because Gallo, Downtown are only representing the publishing, they're still trying to get away with it, right? But they don't know that, I made this deal with Bongani. There's no way I will ever, you understand what I'm saying? Ever betray Bongani. He allowed me to sample his mother's work. He gave me the permission. Why would I leave him behind? Why would I allow other people to make deals that screw him over? Why would I do that after he did that, what he did for me? You understand what I'm saying? Not any Tom, Dick, and Harry can have a Brenda Fassie sample.
I know.
You don't win that in the lottery. You understand what I'm saying? You can't win that in the lottery. There's no lotto numbers for that. So I've got this obligation to him. I've also got an obligation to Jonina. Guess what happens? In October, I go visit Jonina in Guatemala at his house. Now, I go to visit Jonina at his house. He's telling me about the new music that he's doing. He's doing this new music with who?
Got a new album, by the way.
Yeah,
Sure.
with Gallo.
Yeah.
I was at his house. I heard the whole thing.
Welcome, Grootman. Welcome. Sure.
Ngekwakhe mina ngayozwela. I've got Amakrutman army.
Sure.
That's just my life. Sometimes, I just think, I sometimes go visit with Arthur's kids, you know what I mean, showing them Cape Town. No plumber, nabo Spuda, nabo Jonina. Come on. If you died, wouldn't you want to come back as me?
Abo Kanye, abo Jay-Z, abo Elon Musk, abo
Wouldn't you want to be me? Even if you are poor, you don't want to be me. I'm sorry. You don't want to be me. Just my catalog of exes. They can't even play with me there. Abayege. So please, Billboard, Grammys, X's.
The GOAT.
You understand?
The
They're all
authority.
in the same category. You understand? SAFTers, accomplishments. You know what I mean? Not just 100,000 likes on Instagram and trips to Dubai. No. We play on a different level here. We've got respectful and respectable sisters that we allow to come within our orbit. So these people try to steal from Brenda, Bongani's daughter. She's going to school when you're Carla.
That's Mama Brenda Fassie's grandchild.
You understand what I'm saying? And private schools are expensive. So they even try to steal from him. And then this thing, they buy mashisa cheap. Imagine, I saw some articles in the newspaper saying, Nota's demanding 800,000. We're demanding. Sorry, guys, I need to say this on camera. We are demanding, right? 4,550,000. You understand? It's 2,150,000 for the publishing rights, 2,150,000 for the master rights, 250,000 for the video director. The music video director, he gets paid anytime the song makes money because that video is the reason why we get paid. Do you understand? That's how we do business with Ubuntu. And we make sure that everybody eats and we take care of everybody. So to the label lions of this world and anyone that's now trying to jump on the bandwagon of a white corporation exploiting black artists, right? You need to understand that these artists have been exploited forever. Our black artists have been exploited. All these record labels were built off exploitation of black artists. You understand? We've been exploited. When we fight for our rights, we don't need you to second guess us. You don't know anything about intellectual property. You're not intellectual property law experts. You don't need to comment on TikTok just because you see it's Nota. No. That's not your size. That's not your portion. Do you understand what I'm saying? So please, when it comes to marketing, you're not on Nota's level. Nando's is not on Nota's level when it comes to marketing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nando's has a whole entire office. Nota has himself to market himself. And he's more marketable. There are more outlets that cover me than cover Nando's. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to understand who you are playing with and who you are dealing with, and understand that Nando's is not responding because they're dealing with a small boy. They're responding because they're dealing with a volatile institution that they cannot control. You understand? They cannot disinformation this thing away. So the lawyers are fighting, right? And that is our initial demand. That's our letter of demand. In court, it goes up to 10, 20, 30 million and years in prison. That's what happens in court if it gets there, if these guys don't settle. Because they're still thinking that, no, we're going to convince Abo Senzo and everything else to sell out the other blacks, to sell out Brenda Fassie, to sell out Jonina, right? To get 850,000, right? Which is 5 times less than what we are demanding and what should be gotten, because that's the value of the work that we put in, man. It wasn't easy to shoot a 1 million rand video, especially when nobody wanted to do that, especially when people wanted to buy cars with that money. Do you understand what I'm saying? Imagine taking someone's car off the dealership, spending that on a video, and then having to fight with a person who also kolozela because now they couldn't get an M4. You understand what I'm saying? And then that same person also kolozela because now they want to steal that money from you. No. Cannot allow that. Cannot allow people to be used against us. The same thing that goes for Pori. We're in this situation right now. Even all of this thing, malaj. Nah. Gallo themselves, they've got a quagmire because they wanted to do a little settlement. They excluded me from the emails at some point in time. There's no email that if I'm not CC'd in, I won't see. You don't need to CC me for me to see. Don't worry, the email will get to me. I've done things for people that you guys can't pay them to forget. You need to understand that. There's people that owe me certain levels of loyalty. Many people, and they are everywhere. Everywhere. Don't think I came out like this without infiltrating each and every institution that I need for my benefit. I've done that already. And they owe me favors in each and every single institution. So there's nothing that will get past me. When I spoke on Spuda's thing, on the episode we did with Spuda, I spoke about it, I said before. I said, yo, guys, I'm an ad. Whenever ads are being commissioned and everything else, it doesn't get past me. No, I spoke on MacG's thing, on Piano Pulse. Spoke about that. I spoke about that knowing that this was happening. I was giving them a warning. I didn't name any names. I knew they were watching. They ignored my warning. Nando's ignored my instructions. They flighted the ad even after being told that they don't have the rights to flight this. They did it with contempt. So therefore, it can only be criminal liability. Apart from the compensation that we need, because they're flighting the ad, oh, what a place is all over on the billboards and everything else, you know? I mean, they removed the fill-up at whatever, they put fill-up. I saw that on the N1. You saw that, ne? On the N1, yeah. Right before 4 ways, right
yeah,
there.
I saw it,
yeah, they put fill-up by mistake. So we know, we've got evidence, and I've got the picture of that, because I'm quick with the phone while I'm driving. I'm quick with the, quick to say, listen, you put spirit on the wall, right? 3 years ago. You're using spirit without permission? Now. Even while using spirit without permission, you stole from Casper on your vest who had nothing to do with spirit. He was on Ingutu, which had everything to do with spirit being made. Because the mistakes we made with Ingutu, with losing 100% of the publishing there, were corrected with spirit. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we corrected them so we could protect ourselves and we could actually commercialize the success of that sound that we created. So we've done that successfully. Now you think you're playing with a small boy who doesn't know these things. Trust me, it'll be a bad day for you going on a reputational battle with me as a corporation, especially if you're not a black-owned corporation. There's nothing South African culture about Nando's. There's no way South Africans will defend it as our biggest restaurant export. They won't defend it because there's nothing South African about it. So they can't count on that. They can't count on their success in foreign markets and think that that will defend them. They cannot count on that. And trust me, those people that will taste your food in those foreign markets, they would rather hear from me than you. I've got more trust than the Nando's brand, personally, because I'm a living, breathing human being. I'm not an organization that exploits and that doesn't even hire South Africans. You understand what I'm saying?
Mic drop. Next video. See you next episode. The authorities. Siabo.
Danko.